We have the markets moving higher here right now, currently poised to gap up, but not all is sunshine and roses. We still have, of course, these treasury yields in focus. Take a look at the Nasdaq here as well. Nasdaq also gapping to the upside. The Dow Jones Industrial Average pulling up here as well. Poised to open slightly higher. If you take a look here at the USO, just for a bit of a balanced look here, oil also poised to open a little bit higher. So you have all three major averages and oil poised to open higher. That's an interesting look. Now, I mentioned yields here, and those are definitely going to continue to be on watch here. You have Michael Hartnett, a B of A analyst, saying that if Treasury yields continue to stay above that 5% level, or if they get above it and hold above 5%, you could see some major pullbacks, some of these high-flying AI and tech plays. Well, speaking of high-flying, I want to talk about crypto here. I mean, a little bit of a pullback from the highs for the likes of MSTR, IBIT, Coinbase, but Bitcoin touched 79 or above 79,000 early this morning. So that 80K level could be in focus for BTC, which is poised to have its best week since February of 2024. So the crypto rally definitely in focus. SpaceX also back in focus. Couple different catalysts here, one on the satellite side, the other on the launch side. So different aspects of the SpaceX business are going to come into play today. We've also got a little bit of earnings action, nothing massive. You had one report last night, one report this morning. SK Hynix and the memory space also back in focus. So as always, a lot to discuss, but still a lighter news day, I would say, for this Friday morning. Good morning, Sia.
Good morning, Adara. Yeah, lots of happening today, but lots of also not happening today, just like you said. But we do have things to discuss. Gold also heading towards a weekly gain of around 5% after it's had its second quarter slump. It's reversing that. Not a bad look. And also, like you just said, Bitcoin and crypto, also some companies, yes, reacting a bit less than what they were yesterday. But you have Bitcoin that's still holding that momentum, and XRP that was one of the best tokens out of 100 as of yesterday. And let's see if it holds that as of today.
Yeah, lots of areas to see if they hold or not. I mean, we also still have the Meta trial and focus as well, so the social media side of things. It's definitely worth mentioning. And of course, some of these AI big tech plays, Broadcom as a catalyst. We'll get to that later. But without further ado, we're going to say good morning here to both Sean and Neil. Hello, guys.
Yeah, good morning.
Hello.
Much better morning this morning. Obviously, yesterday you had crypto going, which was great, but today you actually have the rest of the market looking a little bit better. You got the Qs are up. It's not a lot, but half a point will definitely work. And we saw, remember, at the end of the day, right at the close, you're seeing that strong run in Micron and some of the memory names. So that's a big breakout that they made going into today's session. Like good break over 3-day highs, like some DRAM today because of this, because it broke out that 3-day top, finally looking a little bit stronger. Baba had a good recovery day yesterday, and now it's back down after earnings. But I think this is going to be really about like the chips. Yeah, the Micron CEO was talking so positively about how, hey, it's not cyclical anymore. We're in a new wave. And look, if they're not cyclical, they are cheap. So that's some buyers coming in big time for that. But let's be real. It's probably Michael Saylor's day and everyone talking about Bitcoin with its best. I mean, obviously pulling back now because of the big gap up. Actually pulling back a little more than I thought. But biggest day in a couple of years. See if we can hold on to the gains. They're already trying to close some of this gap, and I think the 73 and 75K look pretty good for some bounce spots.
Yeah, it's actually the biggest week.
A week.
Yeah, it's actually the biggest week since February of 24. Like,
which is,
I said that to Joe, and Joe
kind
of was like, huh, and I was kind of like, huh, too, because you would think. I mean, look, it's big. I mean, if we call up Bitcoin here, even if we just look at IBIT, I mean, we can actually look at Bitcoin itself. Maybe that's a little bit of a better look. Right here. I just don't know how to use these charts as well as I do ours. But I think you went from what, 62,000? Was that where we were at the start of this week? Let's see if we zoom in just a little bit here.
20%.
Wednesday, Saturday. Yeah. So yeah, 60. Yeah, let's call it 64 and change up to, I guess if you're using 80, as far as that is concerned, you're adding basically that's 12. Yeah, 14,000. So yeah, I mean, up 20% almost in a week right there for Bitcoin. And you know what? It's at that magical level again of 80,000. And we've said that we would think about getting aggressive, or not aggressive, but bullish once it breaks through the 200. Well, took that out yesterday, and then today you're getting the increase there. And you're in the right spot. I mean, we've been talking about Bitcoin for a while. We had mentioned there on, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, that the war against crypto, and I was like, what war? And then Adara had mentioned that there was a war.
Yeah,
Yeah, against Gensler and all this kind of stuff, and it was what Trump was talking about. So IBIT, what is that? BTCT, BTCT, a couple of different names that have been starting to go here. Yeah, BTC Digital, another name there. You mentioned XRP. This is down 8% today, BTCT. So, not everything is rosy everywhere, but that's another name. And then Ethereum as well today, ETHA. Worth a little bit of a look. Remember, the percentages that you see on here is just going to be from close to open, right? So definitely not, what it's been doing over the last 24 hours. But the chip names keep on going higher here. MRVL with a bid, and you mentioned there yesterday near the close, watching out for Micron there. They got it going. SK Hynix today as well. And then SpaceX, apparently, I just read the story in our note today that SpaceX has started to kick a little higher here. There goes SK Hynix. I still really... It's too bad. SK Hynix, I still think is a buy. It's going to get it back into that 140. But SpaceX, we traded it yesterday at the end of the day. Thankfully, we lost on the futures there, and we made some back there on SpaceX near the end of the day. But yeah, here, this is the story, is that there's some more money from the government, apparently. A memo aimed at sharply increasing U.S. commercial space activity.
The president wants like 10x the number of launches.
Yeah, so there you go. Well, I mean, whatever. That's going to be a lot of money.
That's what he wants. That's a lot of money going in.
Especially how expensive it is to get these things in the air. But yeah, I'm going to watch out for some SpaceX on that news. We're going to watch out for some IBIT. That's the two names that I've written down only right now. Oh no, why did you just put Uber in the chat? Oh man, basically, welcome to everybody.
Is it moving?
I don't know. Is it? I'm going to do a little bit of a roll call
it's
and
up.
see who's here. Okay, good.
It's
okay,
up.
80.
Not, yeah,
good. That's what we need. So yeah, here it is right here in our chat. Right now, going through it, and there it was right there. Uber from Jaw talks about Uber over there. So I'm going to pop out our other chat and get that going as well. But let's say hi to Options in Deep here today. Let's say hi to Snowman, Jay Bronson. Arthur is here. Yeah, what's up? There you go. Thanks, Andre, for that. This is a better look because this includes everybody from TikTok, of course. So, and from TikTok. Yeah. So, hey, what's up, Seal? What's up, Dave Clark? Darwin, there's Neil's here as well. Saul is here. That's Neil's right here beside me. Green Saber, Jeffrey, JJ, Beats, George, Brown Lightning. You've been here for a minute. That is for sure. Tech Lion, Spruce Tree, B Cameron. What's up? Good morning to you as well. Ty P is there. Camper Trader. Ooh, I was with a couple people. Yes, some people are starting their camping right now. Last week in August. It's getting a little chilly in the evening times here. Michael Shank, Tex Hex, TMC Trading, Ray, President, Darwin, Douglas, Ramen, everybody is here. So.
Only because I just saw that name. Rusty Shackle as well. Shout out to you.
I gotta get some ramen noodles over here. Oh, did you?
Joe had ramen last night?
Joe had ramen. We had the grilled cheese with the tomato soup. That was really good. And the wife got Gouda cheese with so that made the
one more.
That made the grilled cheese extra Gouda.
That was 3.
And it was really good. So it was very Gouda good there yesterday.
You'd appreciate what we had.
The kids just had the American cheese though.
Homemade pasta and meatballs.
Yeah, see, we had some pasta with sausage the other day, but meatballs is, we had that here, right?
Because Aaron loves meatballs.
Everyone loves meatballs.
You can't really mess it up. Ladies at the desk.
But is Aaron culturally allowed to rate meatballs?
Oh, that's a good point.
So, that's the other thing. So her opinion may not matter, but on the meatball.
We got in trouble yesterday because of the butter chicken, and Sia was very adamant that
it didn't have enough cream in it.
Sia, she's the one that is the absolute expert when it comes to butter chicken. Yeah. Oh, you did say that, right? Correct?
I think I said that I can rate it because I know how to make it. So does my mom. We've been doing it for a lot of years. The first thing my mom taught me was to make butter chicken, which is insane. So that's why. But I'm not the best at it.
That actually does make you an
Normally
authority.
They work on like teaching them how to walk or speak. And it's just right into the kitchen.
Straight up.
Into the kitchen. I like that.
That works.
But back on that ramen, already. I might have to get some ramen or some. I still call it pho, but I know it's supposed to be pho.
Yeah,
I know.
We call I
just call phi phi pho phum. But I really like Vietnamese soup.
Yeah, phi phi pho phum. Which stock is going to go on a run today?
SpaceX, I think.
Not Uber?
SpaceX. No.
No,
Uber,
oh, it's
wow,
like
Uber's,
that?
actually, the Uber chart, I mean,
Why
I'm
not?
glad
It
you guys
could
brought it up.
It could be. Look at the daily chart on Uber.
This is what I mean. This is
that
the thing.
80, it's that break.
Ever since, and we talked about it yesterday, taking out the 200 period, the first time that we've closed above the 200 period since December, right there. So that's a good little potential run. But the last time it closed above, it was 4 days. So we'll have to wait to see what winds up happening with Uber. But yeah, that's great. In a day where the market is up, we like to trade up stocks. So Uber is definitely one of those. Yeah, people talking about Reddit. There's really not a whole bunch. Oh, Dutch regulator fines Uber $966 million. Okay, Dutch regulator. That was a story that just popped in there that I see for Uber. Obviously, it's not really affecting anything. That's a lot of money, though, $1 billion.
I could slow the roll a bit.
It's a fine, so they'll probably just appeal it. Anyways, Netflix was moving around a little bit, I thought. $80 still, so that'll be a name there.
You know what's quiet today?
For. Apple was running yesterday.
Moderna's a little quiet today.
Oh, yeah, Moderna.
Yeah, I don't look. The volume is way lower. By this point, every single day in the pre-market, you were at least doing millions of shares on Moderna. Pre-market action when there was news was huge. Yesterday was still very good pre-market action. Today it is pretty dead on Moderna. So I don't. To me, if it's dead, it makes me want to think the short side. Like, look at how well VWAP held. I didn't put it on the note because it's not doing any volume and it's not actually moving from yesterday's price. But look at how good VWAP was on MRNA. Maybe that's just the play. The second it shows that it's respecting underneath the volume weighted average price, maybe it's the short because everyone's falling asleep with it. Arthur asking, what are we doing on Moderna? I want full port short. Well, yeah, like I was just saying, like the volume's lower, and if there's not as much interest going into it because everyone's looking at crypto and everyone's looking at the memory names, potentially, I'm just sort of speculating, that's where the volume is this morning. And yeah, if it doesn't get and hold above that volume weighted average price, that would be the place to look. Otherwise, you can see, like anybody can pull up this chart and see that the sellers were in control at 140, 146. Like right at the open, it's first place it bounced, rejection, topping tail candles. Then the VWAP, the only trade I made in 2 days on Moderna was this VWAP short, but it happened to be at the 45 with a 46 top. So I think that's outside of VWAP, that's the only place really to look. So I probably won't even, did I write it down? Yeah, I'll probably write it on my iPad. I had the 45, 46, but I'll probably look at VWAP as well. So,
I don't know. I
think
can't really.
It's just the volume. This thing was churning. I'm pretty sure it was the pre-market volume leader 2 days in a row.
Oh wow.
And this is the first day that it doesn't even look like it wants to trade.
I don't know, man. Still, I just looked it up. Still 16% short float on Moderna. The news is too good. I don't have a problem with the short. I have a problem with the full port part. Like
Full port. Yeah.
I think it's just the spread's going to be pretty spready, as we know, and it's just the risk. The risk is both. Look, it's going to be in play. So I think you're right looking at it. It's up a little bit here to start with, Arthur. So I would just say watch it, and if it hits some of the key levels, as Neil was just reviewing and that you know about as well, then I think you can go. But I don't know if there's going to be a mad dash to trade Moderna right off the open. But we'll check out what happens with the imbalances, that's for sure. Yeah, so that's about it, man. I mean, I think Bitcoin's going to be a huge story today. You know, I think there's going to be lots of people talking about that. I was going to look to see if there's any numbers. No, really. S&P Global Flash US PMI, is that happening? They're at 945, so a little bit. A PMI number is important. I mean, we have the Fed rates coming through. We'll have to see if they can control those, the bond yields again here. But the market seems to be pretty happy now. We've been checking all week, and it's basically been 2/3, 1/3 for September 16th. So that's really hasn't changed no matter what's been happening in the market so far there today. Yesterday's play was Walmart on earnings. Today we have Ross Stores. So, you know, Walmart bounced off 103. I think it was 103 flat yesterday. That was right there near the close. So this could be, you know, the double bottom there of 103. So this is a level to look at again, I think, for potential support, actually, for the long. I think Walmart, one of their worst days, we just talked about Bitcoin having one of the best weeks in a couple of years. One of Walmart's worst days that we can remember right there, from 116 basically down to 103 and change yesterday. This was a bad day, 130 down to 120. Yeah, so they had a bad day there as well. But I think this was a little worse coming through for Walmart. So you could see it hasn't been well treated since coming into the Nasdaq. And we had heard, this is when it went into the Nasdaq right at 113. and now it's at 103. So sometimes, you know, getting added to some of these exchanges, like you've seen with Reddit and you've seen with, exchange. This went from exchange to exchange, from New York to Nasdaq. But what I was getting at was, the inclusion into the Nasdaq 100 or the S&P 500 always doesn't mean that there's just like, you know, green shoots everywhere or blue skies. You know, sometimes you can get it a little initial bump on things like this. You know, see Reddit right here on news where it was included, kind of surprisingly, and then the next 4 days it's just been straight bleeding red. You know, so that doesn't necessarily mean that this the be all end all. So we do wait for different names. MRVL was a good case of that as well. It got added, got up at over $300, and then fell back in. And of course, that was a little bit of a situational awareness problem as well. I like that thoughts. I like how you spelt that. On bit mining, hyperscalers. Yeah, so we had, like, I like Werewolf there. Wolf is a good one. But Hut 8, this is a crazy name because, like, I was in this name at, like, in the dollars when this was just a little Canadian mining company there. Then they turned into, we had Eric Jackson talked about this at 40 or 50 bucks. He nailed this one. And we had him on the show. I think we might have talked to him a little bit about Hut 8, but maybe not. Yeah,
I think when it came to us,
I think when it came to us, we did a little bit there. But the power infrastructure play there, he thought that this was going to be a good play for AI as well as Bitcoin mining there. So I think for Hut 8, it seems like it has a lot of things working for it right now, has gone off that 200 period moving average. And you asked about Hut 8, so no way. This will be the one that I've looked at the most, and, you know, bouncing off the 200, bouncing off the 200, bouncing. So, you know, unfortunately I didn't notice it when it was down there, but I think this is a name that I like for more reasons other than just Bitcoin. So yeah, a good little look there for Hut 8. And you mentioned a few other ones there.
Yeah,
Wolf,
well, there's Wolf. Wolf's got a nice double bottom on it. It's for all of the negativity from the highs, this is actually still 200 period moving average is still sort of upside here. It's flattening out, but it's still upside. But I like the double bottom. The issue would be, you know, you're still in the middle of a bit of a gap range and you're not really breaking out. So maybe you even retest like that prior low. I don't know. I'm probably the same way in that I think HUD is a little bit better. So I'll stay away from that. There is a runner here. It makes me think of it because Wolf, and then in the chat, Farm Traders asking about HOWL, which is Werewolf Therapeutics, which is also on the watch list. This one it's a penny. It's a penny stock. Did they reopen it? No, not yet. So this one's halted. So it gapped up. Let me say the reason for the halt. So they gapped up yesterday, and then you kind of held it overnight. But this one is halted. They're saying quote resumption is to be at 8:15, so it should open pretty soon because quote resumption already happened. So there's an all-stock merger with Ambrose Therapeutics at just throw it up here for you guys. There you go. All-stock merger with Ambrose Therapeutics at implied values of $500 million for Ambrose, $42.5 for Werewolf, concurrent $150 million private placement. Werewolf holders to own about 6.8%. So there is a story here, but it should open shortly on this Werewolf Therapeutics. And if I could do a really good howl, I'd give one for you, but I can't, so I won't. Yeah, looks like it's going to be a bit of a busy day there. Here's a question. Adara, you were looking, we all know that you like the spready tickers and that kind of, those kind of trades. I know you were looking at Moderna as well. What do you think about, because I haven't paid too much attention to the spread in the pre-market. It seems to me, because I wasn't trading in pre-market, Sean was the other day, it seems to me the spread's like 2 times as big because of the low volume. Is this more appealing to you, less?
So I will be real. I did not trade this on Wednesday. I traded it yesterday. I was gritting it yesterday, 3 shorts. Was happy all 3 worked at different times of the day. But yeah, I think this is the type of stock that appeals to me, Neil. But what doesn't appeal to me is this, this 129s or so bounce, the higher lows. Then we try 142, which 142 was a level yesterday, I will contend. But then we didn't really do anything with 142. So I'm kind of bored here by Moderna. I'm going to be honest with you, Neil. It's something I'll be watching, but I think honestly more likely today for spready tickers, if I can just spotlight this quickly. And pun not intended, but LITE, I think could be an interesting one for a spready ticker. You did have, I believe, Wolf Research, so another Wolf-related mention here. They came out here, initiated with an, I believe, outperform rating, $1,200 price target. So that's something I'd probably be watching here more in the spready ticker side of things. Yeah, I know we're going to do the upgrades and downgrades soon. Before we get to that, though, I do want to talk a little Meta and Google and some of these social media names, because we know a whole bunch of social media trials have been on focus, of course. They're going to continue to be in focus. And we had an update with one of them, one teen girl who was in one of these test cases. She's now closed the litigation without getting payment. That is significant here.
Yeah, absolutely, Adira. We also saw she goes by the initials PMY is what we've been seeing, obviously, to seal their identity for security purposes. But even the attorney, Emily Jeffcott, has said that the teen has made the decision because she wanted to, quote unquote, resume her life. And in a statement, however, Meta said that this plaintiff had a significant mental health condition prior and predated use of her social media. And it's clear that many of these cases fit the same pattern. This is coming from the company. But another thing just to note is that additionally, TikTok had previously already settled a suit with the girl.
Yeah, so I think it'll be an interesting look here for sure. I mean, I have a question. So yeah, I'm not really in social media like at all. Like I have it and I use X for work, but I'm not really on it. Do you think there's a legitimate case here as someone who is, you know, maybe more in the age cohort? Do you think this is an actual issue that, and do you think could actually get results here from this kind of trial? Because I'm not looking through the case. It's not something that I'm really familiar with, a lot of these allegations, but a lot of people are making them.
Absolutely, and I'll be very honest, there are a lot of individuals who suffer through mental health problems, and I will not downplay that in any way, having gone through some of them myself. But I think there is no way that you could, let's say, sue a social media company for damages. You could do that, and you're in your rights to do that. However, I just feel that there are a lot of other ways to cope with your mental health. There are better ways where you can control your addiction by putting a timer on the app and saying, okay, I'm going to stay within the time limit, and you are actually restricted from app use after that. There's a lot of resources out there, and 100%, I feel that at the end of the day, you do what you choose, what you feel is right. But if you ask for my opinion as someone who's been using social media since I was 15 years old, addiction is bad, but at the same time can be controlled when you ask for help.
Yeah, and I wonder if too, because I know one of the things that we've been discussing up here, Sharif and myself, is the design aspect of it. Now, I think if they can kind of prove design is a part of this, that could be where we have an issue with companies like Meta. But either way here, I think META and these social media companies definitely back on focus. Are Meta and or Google on either of your radars today, Sean and Neil? And don't forget Snapchat, because that's also a part of some of these trials.
I don't know, you sure we can't forget Snapchat? Because there was like 2 days that we looked at Snapchat, and I'm pretty sure it was after the earnings, obviously, and I'm pulling it up and thinking it's going to be not a third day that we look at it. No, with regards to Meta, as long as the trials, it's the uncertainty problem is one. It's not a valuation issue. It's how big is this? How big is the fine is step one, because there's going to be one. It's just a matter of how big it's going to be, and then what kind of restrictions get put on, and what does that do to potential growth for them in advertising in terms of views, because that's their bread and butter. And right now, there's lots of other choices to go to in terms of where you can be buying. Like we've seen it. Like you can pick up dips in Amazon. You can pick up dips in, I don't know, like the chip names were giving you dip, but now they're already starting to bounce a little bit here. You've got a lot of options when it comes to Meta. You've got some double barrel action with the CapEx spend worries, and they're not monetizing as much. And then you throw in this part, which threatens their core business. It's just not in favor. You're at the one level that needs to hold though. So if you're going to pick a spot and say, okay, well, you know, this is where you go for long. Just like this would be it. I would just rather see the trial come to a conclusion.
Yeah, I don't know. I was gonna look at Meta also, but I just don't really like the stock. I mean, I've already said that I thought there's just too many negative sort of stories associated with what Sia's been talking about there. That, you know, my kids are on TikTok and YouTube and all that kind of stuff, and they seem to be well balanced for now. It doesn't mean that it affects everybody the same way, but I do understand what Sia's getting at there, where there's help to be found, and we do have, you know, timers and all that kind of stuff on the phones and whatnot for that. I think technology is very important, that kids understand how to use it. And like my kid, I mean, it doesn't matter, but it's not a thing. Like he's 13 or 14 years old, obviously can type without looking at the keyboard and knows everything about, he uninstalled his Windows and put on his own OS and has it all set up with like the craziest things. You can just have it build a widget for him immediately. He was showing me the other day how it does that on his PC, and it's like, holy crap, like he knows a lot more about this stuff than I do. But it definitely is a problem. For me on Google, if we just sort of go past everything, I just don't like how Meta has traded. I mean, regardless of, you've seen the levels. For Google, I think it's been great. I mean, the only dip you had right there, this was earnings, and it was basically bought up off to day 2, I believe it was, or day 3. I think this was earnings day, that was day 2, and then day 3, it sort of started to go back upside. Now, the reason why I'm saying I don't mind the way this looks is because it's kind of bouncing off the 200 period right now and trying to hold it. Like, that's going to be a good level. It always has been. If you go back on Google and you sort of just look to see, I mean, most stocks are going to, okay, maybe this 200 period is not going to keep on going. Go, build yourself out. But it's been one of those things where, back in the tariff tantrums of April of 2005, that was a problem there. But it's been pretty good holding these levels. So I'm just going to try to watch out for Google right into here around that 340. I think it's a buy. This name, we've talked about it before, the be all end all of tech, has a little bit of everything. I still think Waymo is a big story there for Google as well. Remember, Google had like Google Plus, I think it was called, or something, where they had their own social media for a minute, and they kind of got rid of that. But they're in the purview because everything you see on TikTok is also on YouTube Shorts. Exactly. I think they're called, right? So, you gotta be careful thinking that YouTube is away from all those problems, because they're definitely right in the sights of regulators as far as that is concerned as well.
So YouTube's a beast, but you know who else is a beast? Joey Options with his options plays, which are even more important on a Friday.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Brown Lightning, I seen you in the chat. And Boylan, yes, you can see me waving back there. All right, guys. Now, I don't know who put up the super chat this morning, but they're like, where are you looking to full port on MRNA? No, we don't do that around these neck of the woods. But what we can do here, ladies and gentlemen, is identify where some supply is. Now, I'm surprised by some of the open interest on this name. In regards to what Obi was saying yesterday, 6-figure percentage returns. I've personally never seen that, but then we had the chat backing up as well too, and I've seen 5 digits. So there was a lot going on. But let me tell you this, guys. What we experienced a couple of sessions ago in MRNA, it's almost a writer's dream. And what do I mean, an options writer's dream? Why? Because implied volatility has gone through the roof, and then when you perform an inside day like we experienced yesterday on the underlying asset, you are just collecting premium like there's no tomorrow. But other than that, guys, let's take a look at this $180 strike price. I understand that it's quite a ways away, but this is where I've seen the most amount of open interest on today's expiration cycle, all right? And it's nothing substantial, especially after the appreciation and the volume step in that we've seen over the past couple of sessions. So once again, we're going to be expiring after the bell today. But at this $180 marker, we have 4,500 contracts open and then 9,500 open and closed on yesterday's session. Now, as for the bid and the ask, you can see the liquidity, $5 spread there, ladies and gentlemen. And our Greeks, considering it's such a far out of the money contract, not going to have any form of crazy impact. These are some of the contracts that Travman in the chat would be. I haven't seen Travman for a couple of days, so I hope he's doing well. I know he's had a little bit of a run there, so he's going to take a break and enjoy the end of his summer, rightfully so. But one thing that I wanted to focus on here, this is where the writer's dream comes into play, all right, ladies and gentlemen? $5, okay, all the way to 28 cents. That's 95% decay in that specific contract on that inside day yesterday, all right? So when you see immense amounts of appreciation in an underlying and you do believe the implied volatility is going to cool, whether it be, which it will, whether it be the following session or after a couple of days, then that's what you're looking to do, is write these out of the money strikes and then just collect the premium on the backside of things. Moving forward, let's take a look at some of the other options contracts here that stood out to me. We want to take a look at the overall market. Guys, I understand what's been going on with the Nasdaq and the SPY over the past couple of days. A lot of chop. But we've been on a pretty good run. The Nasdaq yet to hit all-time highs. The S&P 500 hit all-time highs last week. All right, moving forward, what we are going to look at is this $720 strike price. Is the chop going to continue is my question. But what we do have here is 8,600 contracts at that specific zone with volume 241,000 contracts open and closed on yesterday's session, okay? Now, as for the SPY, guys, we're looking at the 775 marker, open interest at 12,000, and then volume around 17,000. It's a little bit cool on that specific strike price, but there is more congestion throughout other prices. Now, NVDA, last but not least, a name. I was listening to the All In podcast yesterday, guys. Fantastic stuff there in regards to NVDA and this data center build out. What we're going to be looking at is this $230 strike price, 98,000 contracts still there. So we might have some issues breaching this level. What I want to do is focus, are these going to be rolled over to next week? Because after the bell, Wednesday, NVIDIA is going to be reporting, and if we see this amount of size here at 230, I'm going to be looking at probability may be in the favor of us staying below that specific level. Contracts 24,000 open and closed on yesterday's session. That's your options activity from yesterday, guys. Let's send it back to Sean.
We're also going to send it back over to Mr. Michael Nauss over at Stats Edge. Michael Nauss, CMT. Good morning. How are you doing this Friday?
Doing fantastic. I finally get to talk about crypto for the first time in, what, a year at this point.
And I think the timing is great. I know everyone's really excited to get into this as well. So let's talk here about some crypto, and specifically, I think potentially this Bitcoin rally that we've had over the last couple of days. But as you mentioned, I think this whole sector really impacted. Let's get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got a potential way to trade this and some words of caution. So the first slide just shows kind of what's happening right now. This is, there's a huge $2.7 billion so far short squeeze. This is last night when I made it. I was reading there was another 250 million. So we're on like $3 billion worth of liquidations, which is something that you can only see in the crypto space. You generally, there's a short squeeze happening in equities, but these detailed numbers are only something you can find on chain. So we're seeing this happen across exchanges. So this first initial move is a short squeeze, and that's the first lesson I just want to give. I know you can get a lot of leverage in crypto. Just be very careful with it, because you don't want to be one of these guys. And the other thing is, again, as of last night, we were like 17% off of the lows, and it was 270 days below the 200-day moving average. That's a long time. That's, darn near a year under the 200-day moving average. But if we go to the next chart, we can see we actually broke through the moving average, the 200-day moving average, or 40-week, roughly going to be in the area of the same way there as well. And that's really interesting, because that's a trend following system that you'll find a lot of systems traders use, a lot of CTAs and things like this that can move markets. Look at this, and this is why I think it's one of those self-fulfilling prophecy things. Everyone looks at the moving average, therefore it has value. But the short squeeze may have initially got things in, but now what I think we're seeing is a little bit more trend following kind of get in place. People are saying, finally, I can get involved in this move. I have a way to play this on a pullback that has some statistical significance to it, so I'll tell you guys that, because I don't think chasing up here is necessarily the move, but we do have some cool stats here. Now, next slide is just why this is all happening. It was kind of like a triple whammy that happened. First of all, the treasury bonds are lowering rates. We know that Bitcoin performs very well in a very low rate environment. And it makes sense intellectually if you think about it. If I can make 5% on bonds, that's going to be way less money to put into incredibly speculative assets with no real return. Even if you look at what kind of Michael Saylor and those guys are doing, their return doesn't seem as nice when there's higher return in government-backed assets you can get. As they're trying to, the Treasury thing basically showed that the government is going to do everything in their power to lower interest rates. Doing so, I think, makes Bitcoin a little bit more impressive. And then, of course, the match that lit everything was that White House summit on the Clarity Act and crypto and all that. And then we had the short squeeze itself. So that's the thing that kind of shook the trees and woke everyone up. And now what we need to look is to see, are these going to be real buyers, or is this just kind of a short squeeze itself? Now, if we take a look at the next slide here, it just shows some kind of basic statistics there, where after any single day that Bitcoin moves more than 9% for its entire life, it's got about a 30-day forward return, about 20%. And I think we're pretty close to that already. But when it's above the 200-day moving average, which it is here, that comes to a 30% average gain. I think these statistics may be a little bit skewed, so I want to point that out, where they may have been more valid in the past when Bitcoin had this history of doubling and tripling and 10xing off the lows. So you might want to shrink these numbers just a little bit there, but they're still pretty substantial, where you're having these giant moves that are taking place. And you know, a 30% move from the breakout point would put us kind of in the neighborhood of the 90s, right? The 90,000 area. So that's one to watch. But if you look at this chart, this next chart, it's not something that I'm feeling comfortable chasing up here. And it's just kind of the way that I trade personally. I don't want to buy something as it's overextended. So what I did is I went looking for a statistic that kind of holds with roughly a 60 to 70% accuracy on how to trade Bitcoin when it's in a trend. And all the rules are laid out here, but if you go to the next chart, I just have a simpler and a cleaner chart to show. So this is Bitcoin. I took this one this morning, so it's a little bit more up to date. Below is the 5-period RSI. There's a whole nother rant I could have about why I don't like the 14-period RSI. Long story short, that was built off moon cycles, so I don't think it's super valid. So I use times that make a little bit more sense, 5, 10, 15, that type of thing. But there is a pretty decent statistical chance that if this becomes oversold, so under 25, and that's again the 5-period RSI, you see that tick down under 25, and we are still above this moving average, the long-term 200-day moving average, then there's around a 60-70% chance that that's a good place to buy a bounce. You're selling when it becomes oversold again. And that could be a way to play pullbacks into this trend, is buying this when it's oversold and then selling it when it's overbought, and rinsing and repeat that, knowing that you have those statistics on your side. And that's what I'm waiting for personally. So for me, it's not, I can't really chase it up here, but this is a good time to say, okay, the beast may have awoken again. Now is the time where we do our research on how we potentially want to trade this if this trend continues. The thing I like about that trade is that if we break back down under the 200-day moving average, I'm going to be wrong and I'm going to move on out. So that's the game plan that I'm going to have here on this one. So that's the way I'm looking at Bitcoin. I just wanted to kind of calm people down, say, yes, this is statistically significant. All right, you don't need to know what happens next. You need to take this time to kind of calm yourself a bit. I've just seen so much FOMO out there already. You don't want to be the guy buying at the absolute top. You want to be the guy kind of taking a breath, coming up with a plan. As I found it, that's the best plan that I can find with that good of a win rate and that good of an equity curve and statistical significance. That's how I'm going to play it. But yeah, it looks like Bitcoin's back on the menu, at least for a little bit. I hope we just don't go back into the range.
Well, thank you for explaining that plan, because I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think, yeah, as you mentioned, buying at the high can be really scary, especially with all of this momentum behind it. So I guess my question is, I know you did all the statistical analysis on Bitcoin, and so I'm actually kind of cautious to ask about sympathy plays. But for everybody out here, do you think there's a way to either apply a similar strategy to some of these other assets like Ethereum, or B, kind of use that relationship here with the moving average like you did with Bitcoin, and then apply, okay, if Bitcoin's around here, then maybe this will be a good look for Ethereum, XRP, et cetera? Or do you think that those need to stand entirely on their own, separate from this?
No, I think you look at, I always look at Bitcoin as like the S&P 500, and then Ethereum is like the Nasdaq, right? They're going to move pretty close together. There might be times where they get dislocated for a little bit, but you're going to get a higher beta in some of these other names. Same with Solana, same with Ripple. There's very rare of a world where you're going to see Bitcoin rip and the rest of them sell off. The reason I personally use Bitcoin for my testing is because it has more data. It's existed for longer. I can go back and I can find more instances that I can look at for data. But to be honest, I bought, I'm looking more at Ethereum, and I'm looking to buy, maybe BMNR if you want to go to the equity space. There's a bunch of different ways to play this now. I think another good example would be gold and silver, right? If Bitcoin's gold, maybe Ethereum is the crazy cousin, the way that silver is, where you get a higher beta one way or another. If Bitcoin rips to all-time highs, I think it's very unlikely that we don't see an incredible move in Ethereum as well. So, pick your poison, whatever it is that you want to end up trading. but I think everything will move with Bitcoin eventually. We just need to, you need to understand that if you are trading something outside of that, you're probably going to be trading higher beta. So it means if you're right, you're probably going to make more. It also means if you're wrong, you're probably going to lose more.
And then one more question I have, and I know it's kind of related, but I want to dive a little bit more into this. You mentioned BMNR as kind of a proxy for Ethereum. Now, with Bitcoin, you do have, of course, IBIT, but you also have some of these, miners. You've got the exchanges. You've got, your circles, which I know is kind of stablecoin, but close. You've got your Robinhoods, your Coinbases, your MSTR, and a lot of these names weren't even trading in tandem with one another yesterday. So I guess my question is, would you still even consider looking at this equity space for Bitcoin, or would you just kind of throw that to the wayside and look at them each as their own name?
I bought a little MicroStrategy on the breakout. I don't know what to feel about it myself. And part of the reason I did it is because it's so hated. Like the guy is just a pariah right now. And I kind of like being in areas that's my contrarian nature. But a couple things to unpack there. First, I don't think there's really any pure play Bitcoin mining stocks anymore. I think most of these guys have moved over to maybe some Bitcoin mining and maybe some AI. So that might be almost a diversificator. It might not, you could see a world where Bitcoin moves up, and I think Riot Platforms, they're called now, moves down if the AI trade is under pressure. So if we ever get a split between AI and Bitcoin, I think these miners get a little bit muddied on the water. The other question, I think, is the treasury companies, or whatever we want to call it, again, the MicroStrategies and the BMNRs of the world and everything. I think these things are so beaten down that we could get this kind of short covering wave with them. So I think the question you need to ask yourself is, are you in this for a quick trade, or are you in this for, you want to buy, you think that was the low of Bitcoin and you want to buy it? If you're trying to find a time to invest in Bitcoin, I would just pick either Bitcoin as a whole or an IBIT, like an ETF that's backed by Bitcoin and all of that. If you're looking for trades, all of these things are going to be the same thing. Higher beta in MicroStrategy. If I'm right, MicroStrategy could double when Bitcoin just moves a little bit. If I'm wrong, it means I'm going to lose more money, which just means I can apply less capital to that trade.
It makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much for going through all of this for us in the Bitcoin space. Mr. Michael Nauss, CMT over at Stats Edge. You can check him out on our show every Monday and Friday morning around this time, 8:30 a.m. Have a good one.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys on Monday.
See you then.
All right, guys, fantastic stuff as always by Mr. Michael Nauss. I'm going to be sending you an X message shortly, Michael, so be prepared for that one. All right, guys, let's take a look at some of the analyst actions here this morning. We're going to kick things off. Just upgrades here today. So we're going to start with MRVL, getting an outperform rating and a $250 price target from BMO Capital. But the firm also says MRVL is a leading semiconductor supplier for the data infrastructure build out. This is key for this company because we know what Jensen Huang said not too long ago. This might be the next trillion-dollar company. We're up 1% here today. Now, Broadcom also on our list, guys, up 1.25. Outperform rating. BMO Capital also giving them the nod. A $455 price target. Broadcom's AI business grew at 65% in full year 2026, and the firm expects 180% growth across the board here in full year 26 as well. The firm added that the XPU business is accelerating and that the networking remains a key pillar and a fundamental structure within Broadcom. Now moving forward, some more notable mentions here. We have Lumentum at the top of the list here today, guys. 1.7% to the top side. Outperform rating. Adira was talking about this not too long ago, and a $1,200 price target by Wolf Research. We also have Equifax here up 2.4%, going from a neutral to a buy, and a $235 price target. That is up from $214 at Redburn. Now, you guys know what you have to do. Enbridge on the list here, guys. Hold. And an overweight rating with an 82 Canadian dollar price target. U.S. Capital Advisors, EMB, Pony AI also getting the nod as well, too, guys. 0.45%, so we'll call it a 0.5% to the positive side. Neutral to outperform. BNP Paribas giving them the nod this morning. Sean and Neil, you're supposed to hit the O Canada when we say Enbridge. Let's send it back to those guys.
Doing that. We like some Enbridge.
Enbridge,
We see it's a good solid energy name. But you know what we also like to see? We like it when we see in the chat that you have a stock idea, you got to read, you got to set up. But unfortunately, sometimes you got the wrong size. Here's the truth. You've got those skills, your account just too small. Trade funders changed that. 100,000 for stocks, 25K for options today. You get to keep 80% and are paid every Friday. You don't risk your own money. It's $9.99 to start, and you're refunded on your first qualifying payout. You can start within an hour. No evaluation or background checks, just you and the size to trade that you've been missing. Scan the QR code on screen to get yourself started at tradefunder.com, where you can choose stocks or options. I wanted to make a point about just going that to Michael and some interesting things, upgrades and downgrades. I like Enbridge. I own Enbridge in my long-term account. But this whole move in Bitcoin and then talking about BMR and MSTR, obviously most of the moves have happened not during market hours. Like, have a look at outside of the big run on Wednesday. You know, it was. Look, I'm not saying the long was bad yesterday. The long was okay yesterday. It was in the long. It was only okay. The big moves have been overnight. But that has at least trended up. ETH yesterday in its gap, what did it do? It trended up, actually a better long, but it was still a good long. Yeah, well, have a look at what MSTR did when the market was open yesterday. That never broke the open range high. Tank came back and could not get above the open price. And then have a look at what BMNR did as well. Open price resistance. So I mean, it doesn't matter why it's happening, but that's at least something that's worth observing. If I see again, like Bitcoin does another, decent long day, be able to catch some dips and it rides it. Second, it gets to resistance. It's like BMNR and MSTR might be shorts for the day trade. It's just a one-day pattern, but it does bear mentioning. If you were trading those, if you were in those yesterday in the long, instead of just right in one of like ETHA or IBIT, then I think you would have been disappointed. You could have been catching the bottoms, but you just weren't getting that trend up that you were seeing in the underlying. So it's something to keep an eye on. If it holds true today, then we've got ourselves a real pattern. And thank you to Danger Carlene for the gift from TikTok. Appreciate all our viewers.
Danger. I think we had Danger on there before. I don't I own Enbridge as well. It's not. I haven't bought this name in probably 20 years, to be honest with you. But it's yeah, I don't know. I like to see where that upgrade's coming from. I mean, it's been hit. It's underneath the 200 period moving average. I don't want to buy any more Enbridge at these levels. Again, it's a pipeline company. But yeah, underneath the 200 period, they pay a dividend. Pretty good one. Last time I checked, it's probably like 5-6%, something like that, even if not even more. And obviously that floats with its return on price. So we'll have to wait to see. It might be higher than 6% now. But underneath the 200 period moving average for me is a no. Like if we could break above 52 and maybe this report gets it there, then I obviously would think that there's room to get back up to the upside. A great way to diversify your portfolio. And it's not like it's down that much. It's down about 10, maybe 12, 13% from its highs. So it still has room to go back up to the upside if you like Enbridge. It doesn't normally move too much, but it's had a great year. I mean, you started the year down here at 45, made its way out to 58, now just kind of halfway back right now. So still up on the year. Many assets, of course, or many equities not up on the year at this point, up small. Enbridge still doing its best to hold some of those bids. Just needs to get above 200 period moving average before it gets me excited.
What we got? Tisha.
Oh, Tisha Perkins. Yeah, we are looking for some.
Oh, JUNS
runners. In between the high of the day to 400 to 400. What is the?
What?
It has no level between the high of the day to 400. Well, that's because you must be looking at a reverse split level or something. Can you confirm in case you didn't move squeeze like this yesterday?
Let's pull this JUNS up. Jupiter. It's like Jupiter something.
Yeah,
the name of the
Neurosciences.
Maybe we can find the short float at some
19
point.
19 million. That's nice.
Yeah, but how could we say there's no levels till 400? I'm not going to zoom out far enough to see that.
That's probably why. There must be something.
Oh, yeah, look at right there, $21 is a bit of a level. I don't even need to zoom in to see that. 20 to 21. That's $13 looks like something in here as well, like 13 prior low and kind of a drop down zone. 13 and 20. So like those would be levels on JUN.
Yeah, short float is 34%. It only has 600,000 shares outstanding.
Of course.
And it's because this is what it looks like back in December.
Oh, there you go.
You know, 900, 1200, 1400. So these are all adjusted pricing, right? Because you just split huge down there.
Five.
I don't know why it says 5,000 to 375,000. Like if it's because there's an 01 there at the end, I guess, which is making that they can't reduce that a little bit less. But
That's
basically that's, you take off some of the zeros, it's like 5 to 375. So for every 5 shares, you get 375. You divide that by 5 again.
Just 1 to 75.
And you get like 1 to 80, 1 to 75 there or so. So, you know, the real price of this thing, because it's been reverse split, you know, you got to take that all in consideration. So $5 ripping up there today. Yeah, you know what, Tisha, like if anything, that's 200, not 400. So I think that there might be something up to 200. There are some stop levels there, 130, so on and so forth. But you're still ways away. And again, a lot of that is that split action happening there. So JUNS, good look out here. This is what Benzinga's talking about it. Today the story is, whoopsies, get down. Juniper Neurosciences enters definitive license agreement with Pharma Allah for its patented non-racemic MDMA. Formulation. So hearing some MDMA over there with JUNS. Obviously, everything is way down. 3 million market cap. So this name would be in risk of being delisted if it stayed under 5 million for a while. So today it goes higher than above that 5 million market cap rate. Now they're at $8. So yeah, good look, Tisha. I mean, this might be one already doing
That could be support.
20 times its float already. So yeah, it should be a good one here for Juniper. So thanks for bringing that to our attention. There's your small cap runner of the day with HOWL, I guess, was another one as well. So.
Well, HOWL was. That should be open by now, but this is different because it's doing volume right now. Yeah, HOWL is back open, and it's running. It's over $1. It's above VWAP. So this is another one to watch. It's on the watch list. 70 million in volume and churning for HOWL. So a couple of names. They do look pretty interesting. That JUN. Remember the JUNS. That's like a high probability halter. When the float's under 1 million shares, you know it's going to be easier for that one to halt in and around. But this one. That dollar level may be above VWAP, but it's under $1. And these penny stocks, and I know it's psychological, but I still kind of look at that level as well. We're getting a little bit of a trend pre-market here when we look at the Qs. And it's nothing crazy, but you pull back. Anytime you make a higher low, then you start forming a bit of a trend. And you kind of like the fact that we're holding above the prior day resistance. So far, so good. The problem would be, hey, we kind of need to break out some resistance tops from Wednesday and Thursday as well. So it's quiet on the future side, but holding the gains we do like. But it's all about the memory, ladies at the desk. Memory names. I know crypto's going to be on watch, but which one's most appealing to you, Adara? Is it SK Hynix today? Is it Micron today? Or you just keep it easy with DRAM? I know SanDisk, you're probably the only one that looks at SNDK. Which one's got your eye?
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, I'm looking at SNDK, and yeah, I'll zoom out a little bit here. You guys know that's pretty much the only name in this space that I usually look at because it's the spreadiest. There is that 1632 breakout, and I've noticed that the $32 level is a big thing for SNDK. We had that 1432 breakout last week. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I kind of like to notice patterns like that. So that could be a thing potentially for SNDK, one that I'm watching. And I promise that memory and Bitcoin are all going to be on the watch list. But yeah, if you pull up MU, I think distinctly different from what we're seeing with SanDisk. MU, you've got that slightly higher lows here, that 1914, and then that double bottom here at 1918. And then you ascend. I think if we can crack 1,000, that might be a good look here. And then you also got, what is this, 995? That's support resistance. So yeah, we'll move away from the spready tickers with the Dara segment of the day. We'll take a look at NVIDIA, because we did have some news on NVIDIA. I mean, we have a couple little headlines swirling around, but this just came out when we had Michael Nauss on with us around 8:30 a.m. See, they could be investing hundreds of $1 million in a group called Cloverleaf Infrastructure.
Yeah, absolutely. So they are in advanced discussions to invest hundreds of millions of dollars in Cloverleaf. So It's a company that secures power and powered land for data center projects. This is coming according to the Wall Street Journal, and it's already sold. The company Cloverleaf has already sold more than 7 gigawatts of powered projects to data center developers, including sites that are tied to Oracle as well as OpenAI. And it also has a pipeline that extends 10 gigawatts. So we know that NVIDIA there is continuing to push further into this power infrastructure play, and that's definitely needed for future AI data centers. And this deal follows the investments NVIDIA also made in SB Energy and Lancium.
Yeah, there's some other stuff here in NVIDIA. There's actually a couple different things, but one story that I found really interesting is, I guess South China Morning Post was reporting and swirling around rumors that this woman, Madison Huang, Jensen Huang's daughter, she's been spotted a lot lately at a lot of different NVIDIA events. I was looking into this. She actually does have a senior job in the marketing space at NVIDIA. Some people are saying she could be Jensen's successor when he ever decides to retire. So not sure when that is. That could be a while down the line, but I thought this was an interesting story. Did a little bit more research into her, so expect an infographic on that out later today. But yeah, I mean, another potential look here for NVIDIA. The main story, though, more circular investing for NVDA.
Mm-hmm.
True. Jensen's not going anywhere. We don't have to worry about a successor for
$100 million is
quite some time. But no, like you saw that my chart starts at 6 a.m., right? So that gap down, that move down that you saw at 213 that happened at 5 a.m. won't be appearing here. On a day where the market was weak, maybe I'd be thinking about that level. Like anytime you get like some kind of a gap down, and again, like I said, it's, like Sean's chart will be able to show it when he pulls it up on eSignal. But there was that move down, and I'll maybe pull it over here to 213, which is pretty extreme on NVIDIA. I just prefer the memory right now, because I think what's happening is if there's going to be some big time upside, NVIDIA's fine. It's just, it's gotten a little bit of that boring note to it, where the memory names are seen as a little bit more explosive. And when you start talking about single digit valuations, like there seems to be a bigger disconnect with what they're actually worth with those memory names. That's why Micron and SK Hynix look appealing right now. That's why I'd prefer to be trading in DRAM. You're getting more movement out of, like you get more movement out of Intel most days, and I'd say even AMD, unfortunately. And then market's strong, and you're putting in lower highs all week, and this one's not breaking out either. It's just lower high, lower high, lower high. So I like NVIDIA, still one of the bigger holdings for myself. But I kind of thought we had a better chance to have tested that all-time high. I'm disappointed that this move stalled out at 25. Thought it had more juice in it. So I'll be looking in other places. There was a question earlier in the chat about Intel today. Like I said, I kind of like the memory names. But as far as Intel goes, it would be hard to ignore this 94. We'll call it 93.8 break. It does have a pretty distinct look. You had that bounce off 90. That was right at 930, 940, whatever. In the first 15-minute candle, it bounced off $90. And then look at that clean higher low. It is a pretty appealing breakout setup. I just hate breakouts on Fridays, personally.
All right, I was look, Todd, speaking about breakouts here, this Juno, I'm going to try on a 950 if we ever get through that level right there. I'm going to try to see about a break long. I mean, right now it's just consolidating. It's trying to figure itself out. I mean, even a break of 9 isn't horrible on JUNS, but I'm going to go with it 950, just breaking through. And I do understand that there's that top wick right there of $10. I think if we were to punch some 950s, we would probably try to get out of half for just 50 cents, because back in 850, has to be the breaking point to get out if you're wrong. So right now we're still $1 away from it doing anything, but I'm just here in case you see JUNS pop through. It should hit my account if it breaks through 850. Now I only crossed up 10 cents, so might not be. I just don't want
950.
950, yeah. I just don't want it to break too far and then I wind up punching too high. So we could wind up missing it, but let's give it a shot there. Using ARCA to route through. There's ARCAs at the top of the levels both times. Edge X is also a good thing. I mean, anything that routes will work in the pre-market. So, that's going to be a level to look at, I feel like, anyways, here for JUNS. So that's a little 950 action. Yeah, I mean, I like NVIDIA. I want to buy more of that name, but I was just actually saying, to Joe out in the hallway there, like, I'm just so into all of these names, like all the new money that I keep putting in the market, like put some more money to work in Intel. You know, we got some Qualcomm, like all these. Like I just need to buy more index. So I think I'm just gonna switch up to maybe some more XBI, some more SPY. Leave the Qs do its own thing right here, because, you know, there's been a lot of get up to a lot of the market these days. You know, a lot of different sectors are not near highs, but, you know, are in and around that area. And if that's going to be the case, pullbacks in the S&P 500, you know, can work maybe safer than, you know, worrying about this whole investing sort of cycle loop coming to an end. Because if it does, for sure, the S&P is going to get hit, right? I mean, you're going to need the market to go up on the back of this AI trade. You know, that's going to be the strongest driver of the overall market. I mean, first of all, the debt situation could create a huge pullback as well. And I think that's what we're kind of waiting for, to see if we do get back into the 50 period. But I'm getting pretty close to buying some more S&P 500 here. You know, do we dip sometimes below the 50? Sure. But I think that these are all, you know, long-term, obviously, you know, wealth generating ideas when you're trading the S&P 500. So if you're able to buy anything on weakness, I do like the S&P 500 right now, a little bit more than the Nasdaq, just because of how tech invested I am right now. So I'm not really going to worry too much about Nvidia or what the price is here. If anything, you know, I don't even think it's a bad idea to sell all of my AMD, all of my Intel and everything, and maybe just ride one horse, and that could be that Nvidia. I, you know, really like the stock and think that it's going to be, you know, one of those forever holds again. You know, a name that you want to be in. It's going to participate in whatever technological advancements we have. So I really like NVIDIA, and for that same reason, man, I really think SpaceX with XAI and everything they're doing with Grok, and then now you get the more money pumping into space, or, you know, President Trump talking about the commercial side of it. I mean, that's what SpaceX is all about as well. So I feel like these two names are names that you don't want to avoid, along with Google. So as long as you have a basket of those, I think the rest of the money can sort of be distributed in other spots. We talked about XLF, we talked about XBI, and that's where I just think if you just pile it all into a low-cost ETF, it's not a horrible idea there. All right, so we're going to get ready for the rundown. I mean, I think it's been a well-spotted first hour there. We had Michael Nauss coming on talking about crypto. If you want to hear about that, go check that out at 8:30. That was a good talk there, looking for the, you know, the breakout's on right now.
It's on.
So some ideas that he had there as well. All right, I feel like we're going to be talking about SpaceX and NVIDIA and all these names anyways. So yeah, let's go back over the desk. No major earnings to discuss, right? We had Walmart on day 3.
Well, there was Ross. If you're in Ross stores. No volume on that stock, though. Okay. It's not going to do it. It doesn't do anything. Ross Stores is not a... Somebody out there cares about Ross Stores, which is fine. They are up. That's the last we'll say of them. But at the desk, we have a lot to look at today.
A lot.
For sure. You know what's weird? As you were talking about... You can't make this up. Just as you were talking about NVIDIA, before we go to the one last thing.
Yeah.
I just saw on our news feed, a headline pops up. Wall Street expects SpaceX to outgrow NVIDIA 7-1.
Wall Street expects
Musk says that's too low.
Wait, outgrow NVIDIA? What was
7-1, and Elon Musk says analysts still aren't thinking big enough. So I don't know. It was it's some dude, John.
I mean, there are some growth potentials in SpaceX.
Oh, of course.
I think if it works out, it probably, because NVIDIA is more mature now.
Yeah, I would say
like
SpaceX's ceiling is higher. It's like, yeah, SpaceX's ceiling is definitely higher. NVIDIA's just got a way better floor. Okay, we have a fantasy draft tomorrow, so I'm saying ceiling floor like I'm talking about football prospects.
Well, the market.
What just happened?
I don't know. The market doesn't like whatever Elon just said there. With
that was an interesting coincidence.
Regarding to SpaceX, right there, they're disagreeing. I don't know if that's part of that story. This looks like that started dropping, basically right at 9 o'clock. So,
well, that's when I saw that thing hit.
Yeah. So okay, something going on there with SpaceX. I mean, I still like the stock. I written down SpaceX right here around 134, yesterday's closing area. So yeah, we're coming back in pretty quickly here on SPCX right now. So there it goes, man. We're going to figure it out where we're going on that one. But I think there's more to that story, right? I mean, if that's just Elon talking, that's fine. But Wall Street, I don't know if Wall Street expects 7x on the growth of SpaceX, but who knows? If they get the revenues right, I mean.
Reading the article, it seemed like just like one analyst, and then the headline they put in Wall Street, and it's just one analyst.
We still need to get above that 150 mark, right? That 150 is where SpaceX came out at. And that's been like,
great.
This chart actually looks amazing. Like, we just got to break through there, you know, and then it's and then it's off to the races, and you probably get to that 170, 180 with the same week. I would think if we could break through 150, I think the next stop is 170 up to 180 there. So we were going to throw it back to the desk a couple minutes ago, so why don't we just do it now?
That works.
Yeah, I'm still trying to look into this Musk comment here and when this was posted. If I get any more details, I'll keep you posted. But in the meantime, we're going to go through our morning watch list, which does feature SpaceX, Bitcoin, and a whole bunch of other stuff. This morning rundown, of course, is run by the aforementioned watch list. All the stuff that you're going to find on this rundown is usually on this list as well. You can get this list for FREE free. You can find the link on your screen here. You can just type that in, or you can click the URL in the description. Either or, lots to look at here today. And we're going to start by taking a look at Bitcoin and crypto, because BTC did knock on the door of 80,000 this morning, and Sia, it is poised for its best week since February of 2024. That's a more than 2-year difference. So we'll have to wait and see here. We could actually close over 21% higher.
True, and it's been its highest levels that it's been since May. Also, another thing that you want to take a look at is that higher yields make riskier assets a bit less attractive, and we will see that when we get the PMI flash number later today. That's also something we're going to get around 9:45 a.m. that you want to look at. So, which could prove true with crypto, that it could go down, go up. It could also move the dollar. You never know what could happen with these names. Spot ETFs as well, however, for Bitcoin have posed net inflows of $606 million as of yesterday. And this is, again, the most that it's seen since May 1st. So it's not a bad look for crypto here.
Yeah, and I think also, too, if you're looking at these economic catalysts for going forward, sure, we're going to get this PMI number, which we'll bring to you guys at 9:45. But then next week, you actually get, I think, much more interesting data that could be, of course, moving the market, but also crypto, because you're going to get PCE on Wednesday morning. That's going to be pretty massive here. That's called the Fed's preferred inflation gauge. And then, of course, you get comments from Fed Chair Kevin Warsh at Jackson Hole Summit on Friday, so next Friday. So those are some things to look forward to that, of course, can move the market. And also, if you're looking at, as you mentioned there, Sia, the wider story for crypto, absolutely, I think that's another thing to keep an eye on.
Sure.
Yeah, well, one thing to keep an eye on today, hopefully, the 75 and the 73 levels, like that looks pretty, like the move into 80,000, 80K, you didn't quite get there, but that's pretty close, and it looks like we're in a little bit of a pullback if you just look at spot, and then throw back, zoom out the chart a little bit, prior support at 80, resistance at 80. So it would make some sense that we would see a little bit of selling. So filling in some of this gap to around that 75K level. That's the first look. But remember, just because you want it to fill in the gap on a dip buy, I could say the same thing about yesterday. It never pulled back hard enough on the gap up to challenge any of the prior highs. It just was eventually a, pre-market low held, higher low, and then the VWAP longs, and then that was the way to go. So I'm perfectly willing to do that again if it doesn't have enough juice for the gap fill. Into the prior high or into that 75K level, which is more or less in the middle. Like we're at 77.4 now. So filling in the entirety gap would be under 75K. So it's above VWAP for now, but I'm going to be looking initially for the dip into 75. If we don't get that, then we do what we did yesterday, looking for long. And if I short, it will be in BMNR, just based on what I saw with BMNR versus ETH and MSTR versus Bitcoin. Those were flat and could not break the open range highs, even when the underlier we're going. So if there's a nice trend break set up or a double or triple top, I'm shorting the treasury name if it happens later on in the day.
Yeah, okay, I just put in the chat here, my notes, my sticky note today. I mean, it does have IBIT on it, as well as SpaceX. I have the 42 long. This is his best week in over 2 years. We've already talked about that a little bit there today. Watch the pullback off that 80K level. I mean, it's already happening, so that's kind of getting there. 200 period moving average support, right? So if we can get something on the 200 period, that'd be great. Now it's almost at 43. So again, when we write this down, we're at 42 down there. I'm not sure, 42 was close enough to, if I zoom back out, yesterday's sort of top there was 41.40. So I think Bitcoin does have, it's not going to get down to there. So now we have to look here, like 43s, that little break there could create a little bit of a tumbling action. I think with the Nasdaq being up though today, and if the Nasdaq can hold bids, I don't know if Bitcoin even really comes back in that far. So you may have to get a little more aggressive. I mean, the problem is VWAP is right there right now. So, to me, the first look would be this 43.40 area, which is the pre-market bottom. I don't want to take it because I don't want to sit there. But if we do what we're doing like this over an hour, then I'll buy these dips and hope that we can get a move higher, right? It's like, and we'll talk about SpaceX next, but and that's the next one on my list. But we had a very similar trade yesterday with SpaceX where it was just kind of basing out, and then we saw it fall back in. So I think there is some potential there for IBIT to do something like that. If it doesn't hold this, then maybe some panic sellers come in a little bit. I mean, they're not panicking anything. It's just people that are looking to take. It's 25%. It's like 22.5% or something that Michael was talking about there in just over a week. So that's a good return. And today's the last day, Friday, right? And so if you're looking to get out of some of these shares, today might be the day, and you don't take the risk over the weekend. Not that I think there's any risk there, but traders got to profit at some point. So let's wait to see if there's a flush for IBIT, and then basically like avoid. You talked about Riot Platforms now. It's not Riot Blockchain.
Yeah.
Marathon, the same kind of thing there. We got a question from HUD8. We got a question from Werewolf. A lot of these names are no longer Bitcoin related names. They still do have a piece of the Bitcoin action. So I think the best way to trade it, pure would be through MSTR or through IBIT, or trading Bitcoin itself. But MSTR, again, the same kind of level, 118. If we break through that 119 level, let it come back, sit around this 200 period, and then bounce off of that. So, yeah, I like all these levels. 118 for MSTR, 43 for IBIT, and we go long in Bitcoin at some point today.
Yeah, SpaceX here also in focus right now, just below that key $135 IPO level. And we have a couple of different catalysts on this one today. You've got one in the licensing space and then one also coming from President Trump and his administration with regards to these launches. They want more launches happening. So yeah, I think we've talked about this being a diverse business. Yeah, it's always nice when you've got catalysts coming from across the board.
Absolutely. There are two catalysts that we looked at Adara off camera in the morning. You and I were talking about it. So the Falcon 9 rocket launch is what SpaceX is aiming at for today at Cape Canaveral. Precisely the timing that they want to aim for is 11:14 to be very precise, but it has been extended to 2:57 p.m. should there be any delays. So the liftoff is set to happen around at the Launch Complex 40. But also let's just take a look at the other story that we did see this morning with AST. So both names, SpaceX and AST, have emerged as potential bidders for a prized low-band spectrum covering nearly the entire population of the United States, Adara. That is huge. Now, another thing that you do want to look at is another cool angle that I saw is that TMUS is also a bit involved in this. So T-Mobile had inherited the portfolio through its Sprint acquisition, but the company never really deployed this. And they transferred those licenses to Grain last week in exchange for $2.9 billion and Grain's 600 megahertz holdings covering another 1,212 counties.
Yeah, and Trump's administration also signing a memo aimed at increasing U.S. commercial space activity. That's got to benefit SPCX here. How are you guys viewing this stock today?
Yeah, I know you have a support. Sean's going to have a support that's closer for me. I'm looking at two levels effectively. One's more of a zone, but very clearly the last 2 weeks, 130 has been a good spot. It's a Friday. You're under the 35, every $5 kind of a thing on SpaceX there. So, yeah, I'm thinking that's the place to go. We had the latest lockup expiration. There's another one coming in September that we got to get through. But the latest one already happened, and that's where the bottom was. So that's where I'm going to like the low in the 130. When I sat down, we were close enough to resistance that whole pop and fade looked like a realistic possibility, right? Like you could have popped into the prior day high, not gotten through the Thursday highs, and then faded. Well, that's a different story because for whatever reason, we've just dropped a couple of bucks. And I don't think it was the thing we were reading. It could be anything else. I just don't think it was that random story at 9 o'clock, but maybe it was. Either way, it looks like we're closer to testing 130 support than anything else.
Yeah, I was going to say yesterday, we were watching out for SpaceX. It had, like Neil said, it had that run. It has these runs right at the end of the day, right? And so I'd written down here 134 long. That was essentially, there's the closing price up here at 134.6. We did fall back in just a little bit. I think that was obviously a little bit of either profit taking or just like settle this thing down and get it back into 134 again. But here's a 5-minute chart for SpaceX. So, this is this to me, maybe we'll zoom in just a little bit before we draw a line, but right into here, this is 134.50, I believe. This little topping candle there, let me see what exactly. Yeah, 134.20, something like that. So we spent underneath it right now, and then now we've just sort of come back here, and now we're trying to bounce a little bit off of the 50 period. Oh yeah, Rob brought the green mugs today, so we're going long all day on this one. Thank you, Rob, and here it is one green mug there. And we'll watch out for that. I just saw it was dripping a little bit there. I don't want it to spill all over, so cheers on that one. Thanks, Rob. But yeah, right into there, 134.25 on SpaceX. I mean, that looks like, to me, a good little area. So we're going to watch out for 134. I know it's there right now, and that's the problem. You know, and I think actually this actually helps me for my trading because I try not to get in too early. So the fact that it's here right now does push pause for concern because, again, remember, at 9:25, and we can't emphasize this enough. For those of you that are watching the show for the first time, you know, welcome and thank you. Make sure you do hit the like and the subscribe. We know it's a tough one today. It's a Friday. It's gorgeous weather. It's the end of the summer, but we love that everybody's here with us. So please hit that like, hit that subscribe, and come back with us Monday every single day. And thank you to everybody watching on TikTok as well. That's really started to pick up. So, but anyways, as you look on here, SpaceX is going to be on here. We were surprised at how small it was yesterday, but it still started a movement in the stock. So, you know, we'll pay attention to that. There, it's obviously day 3 now, or day 2. It was the 20. Wait a minute, it was the 20th, wasn't it? The lockup was yesterday, wasn't it? Or was it the 19th?
Yeah, it was yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. So day 2 then. And you know, we were up yesterday. So let's see if the sellers come in. They didn't really come yesterday. They obviously went the other way into the close there. I think the SpaceX overall was still down yesterday, right? Yeah, because you closed the other day at 139, and then yesterday closing at 134. So you're still down that 3 or 4% yesterday. I like it. I like the stories with SpaceX, and I think this is a decent level. So we're gonna try to dip buy into that level. Look, 130 is, if we can get down to there, then oh boy, I think we'll definitely be looking for that long. But if we wind up buying and losing it, I think you can get out right here. That's 133. So I think you have this sort of dollar back and, oops, why is it not building it? You have that sort of that dollar back and forth here in the range where, you know, we've seen some decent trading opportunities there. So we'll see about a 134, but give me a couple minutes to make that trade. SpaceX on my mind today.
Also on our minds here potentially is Broadcom, AVGO. This name actually poised to open right now. We're at these pre-market highs, and Bloomberg reporting that they're doing a pretty large AI debt deal seeking at least 60 billion. I was seeing potentially up to 100 billion, depending on how they actually end up organizing this.
They're in talks, right, with a group of lenders to raise more than $60 billion in debt for AI chip financing deals that will benefit. And this is where Anthropic as well ties in, because it is also ties into Anthropic and other companies. The numbers in discussion can potentially bring the total raise to as much as $100 billion. This is coming according to the reported era. And this financing can also include a roughly $30 billion junior debt tranche where Broadcom potentially would guarantee a part of a senior secured tranche that would range between the numbers of $60 billion to $70 billion, according to the report.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how this comes to be, but I guess more financing and debt in focus for AVGO. Also, Anthropic was mentioned there. We'll discuss that in just a couple stories. Just wait.
Yeah, there's lots of ways that you can raise money. We know what MRVL is doing, and now we get to see what Broadcom's going to do. But Rushi is actually asking, how does Broadcom look under the SMA 200 on the daily? Well, this is part of the reason I'm not really that invested in looking at this one today, because it is still under that 200 period. I think you can clearly see that it's bounced at a good reversal candle here in the beginning of the month. Well, beginning of July, last month, I should say, at 360. That's a good reverse. That's held now multiple times that low. But I'd still like to see it close back above the 200 period moving average to confirm that. This is a very important day, right? You get this piece of news that they've got a funding raise, and you have a chance for that piece of news to break it back out and close above the 200 SMA, which would be a nice little bullish sign. But I'd rather wait to see how we react and then pick a direction from there, because look at Broadcom the last little bit. I mean, none of that looks very good. There's plenty of stocks today, which is the Nasdaq pulls back a bit here, are breaking through Wednesday and Thursday highs as opposed to sort of languishing at the bottom. I know it's up 1.5%, but it's really been in the doghouse lately. So I'm staying away from this. I think we're going to talk about memory next, so I won't bother to get into the memory stocks. You're about to hear more about them as to why they look a little bit more appealing today. You've got movers in Bitcoin. You've got SpaceX, which is going to have a move. It's already moving around here. Moderna is starting to pick up a little bit. That's going to be in play. So I'm going to stay away from Broadcom. I do feel like it's a very important day for the stock, but that still feels unproven off of this low.
Yeah, I mean, that's your answer to the 200 period moving average. But I was just thinking today, like there is other names, but this is up 1.5%. It's not a name that we, actively really trade here on the show, but this is where VWAP is, and it's at 368. So that's a level that we've liked. And again, it's just off the open, very dangerous to look at that, but it's bounced off of there. So I think these are levels, the 200 period actually coinciding right now with an opportunity, right? Yesterday's high zones around this 367. So that's going to be a marker there as well. So I think this is a good trade, man, between 367 to 368. If Wall Street likes this financing deal, then let's go. I mean, you need money for operations, and you're able to raise it. Rates aren't unbelievably, outrageous right now, although we are going to be obviously in a rate hiking environment. But hey, get the deal done now while you can. I think it's good for Broadcom, and the market agrees. So, 368 to 367, I think that's going to be a range for you today on Broadcom. Look, the name can be real choppy, right? This is yesterday's open. The high 366, the low 362. So you're back and forth $4, $5, $6 there yesterday. And then, but look how good the bottom was. That 362, you could have played off that numerous times. So instead of looking at NVIDIA 216, 215, maybe today is a day to look at Broadcom down here around that 363 area from what I was trading yesterday. Let's see if yesterday's area here is somewhere up here today. So that 367 to 368, I could see it sort of mirroring what we were doing yesterday at these levels. So yeah, Broadcom, I mean, another one of those names. Marvell's been sort of eating its lunch with some of the deals lately, but underneath the 200 period, looks attractive, especially if we can crush that. So that's 375. Let's close above 375 today. And then just the way that Michael said that with Bitcoin, once you're above some levels, at some point, the risk to reward is worth it because you have your outs.
Exactly.
So if you break above the 200 period, you could use some of the recent lows as your out. And then if you're right and Broadcom continues to win, then you could retrace back to all-time highs, giving you, a much bigger risk to reward profile than what you have when it's underneath the 200 period moving averages. Buvin, what's up, Buvin? You're here.
Man.
So I just want to, my 950 break, just because you're mentioning JUNS, my 950 break is still here. So if we break 950 on JUNS, I'm going to go. So, hopefully that does happen off the open, and then we could be part of that first halt. We like first halts. Generally on third halts, we've noticed that maybe there's a turnaround. Neil always has these funny little bets where we bet this random quarter that's sitting here. This name's going to halt. I don't think anybody's going to unbet that. So
no.
I think you just want to watch out for it. It's already done 23 million. The short float is about 14 or 15%.
I'll bet you under 5.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't. I would think that's close to being right.
3.5?
3.5 halts. Okay.
You take I'll take the under on 3.5.
Okay, I'll take the over. So we got to go 4 halts.
4 halts.
On this.
That's
one. So
fair.
Neil's got under. I've got over. Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I was going to say it's only a 600,000 share float. So $8 needs to move a little bit. This is one that just split 1 to 75.
I might lose that.
So we'll see. 950 is my stop. My go spot there. And we use stop orders the same way, right? So it's just a conditional order. Yeah. So the minute that 950 is hit on the tape here, as long as it's not a dark pool, it will print through and punch me into the long. I'm only crossing up 10 cents. That's the caveat to me maybe missing the trade, but I don't want to punch too much further than that, right? The top wicks are 80s right here. So if I get long at 80 on a break, I could get stuck near that top. So anyways, that's my talk on JUNS. We still have a little bit more time here. Only 3 more things to talk about. The Anthropic IPO discussion will come last. That can come and go pretty quickly. But let's go right now talk about the memory stocks because there's a bunch of those.
Yeah, we'll get to memory. I quickly want to mention here WMT, seeing a couple of headlines. It's not a ton of reaction here, but I want to mention they're saying they're going to be introducing tap-to-pay technology in all their U.S. stores by 2026. Apparently, they're going to be adding tap-to-pay tech at their fuel stations by mid-2027. Contactless payments will be introduced at Sam's Club starting on August 24th. So again, nothing massive, but this is an earnings day 2 play. Saw this headline, thought it was worth mentioning. Definitely worth mentioning, though, all of these memory stocks in focus, trading near pre-market highs. Now, SK Hynix, we know, announced that buyback plan earlier this week. Samsung doesn't want to be outdone. They have shareholder value plans of their own.
Absolutely, they do. And this marks a rather, I would say, a blockbuster week for shareholder returns among these South Korean chip giant names following, like you said, SKHY's share buyback. So They want the shareholder returns are set to be between the range of 90 trillion won to 110 trillion won. That is around $65.1 billion to $79.52 billion in this year alone. And Samsung has itself said, and I quote, the largest ever by a Korean company. It's also announced that it will pay around 30 trillion won in cash dividends in the third quarter, including its regular quarterly dividend. That is not a bad look here.
Yeah, not a bad look at all, and certainly not a bad look for these memory names. Like, as we said, near session highs. Right now, I think most of them roughly flat in the week. I know Micron for sure is. But yeah, do you guys think we can get a green week on some of these memory plays?
Yeah, look,
Week?
I think so. But at the end of the day, when you're trading, you just got to be able to play a setup as long as it happens. And both SK Hynix and DRAM have the setup. It's the close here on SK Hynix on Friday was right around 166-ish. It doesn't matter the exact price. Then that's been resistance for the entirety of the week outside of the gap up on Monday. So holding over that is critical, which gives you a dip and a rip. I like DRAM, basically the same setup, and that's what we were trading yesterday. Like yesterday was shorting this level on DRAM. Off the highs, it worked at the open. It then worked a little bit later on in the day. Obviously, it was a long into that at the close, and that's at 59.5 to 57.5 to 57.6. But that's clear. Closing price and then resistance. Closing price at the end of last week, and then resistance for the last 3 days. So as the market's coming back in, and the Nasdaq is pulling back, so it looks like we are getting a dip at the open. We're going to dip in and look for that prior high for a bounce spot. Pretty simple. We look for that little bottoming tail candle. We get it. We go for the long in DRAM. If for some reason SK Hynix and DRAM are disconnected, that's why I brought the two of them up. They have similar setups. I don't suspect that they will be, and we'll just be looking at DRAM, but on the off chance, we'll have the SK Hynix in the back burner.
Yeah, no, I was just looking at, for myself, I mean, you're just looking at DRAM. I don't really have any memory-specific names to look at there today, but I mean, I was going to call up DRAM, but Neil just did it. Yeah, let's just look at, I mean, I think I talked about SK Hynix, if you want to talk about a longer-term idea. I just, like, what is going on with the NASDAQ right now? I mean, we just fell out of bed here.
They're all sells here.
Yeah, oh, wow, okay. This is why. So there's NVIDIA sell, there's Amazon sell. Go charts. Wake up. There's Apple sell. There's, well, yeah, I already said IBIT I don't care about. SpaceX, though, hello. That had to move down there, and then that bid. See, this is where I said, remember I wrote down 134 as the low, and this is why I always do this every day. That's why it's funny. I'm laughing. Like, we never take it in the pre-market. That might be the low. I don't think it will be. There's Google with the sell. So everything coming off right now, even Google, Class A there with the sell as well, downside. Walmart catching a little bit of a bid. I think that's a good day to play there. But, if we're just going to go, I know we're talking memory, but this recent NVIDIA sell-off, and it's just a sell-off again, false sell-off, right? Because these imbalances are going to get paired. So I don't think it's a cause for concern. But remember I talked about, was Broadcom, that 368, 367 level? And I was like, well, that reminds me of NVIDIA's 316. 316. Okay, good. He's on his phone. 216 level. I think that is, a level for NVIDIA. So I don't mean to flip the switch here, but that is, a spot that just got bought up on that dump. And literally 2 minutes ago, I was like, I like this level on NVIDIA just in talking about Broadcom. So let's put 216 on our radar here for the NVIDIA low. If the market doesn't want to go down today, which I'm not sure it does, I think NVIDIA will be bought up if it does make another move like that. And again, just falsified. Man, like the problem is these algos are too good. Like it gets hit, and then look, like they know it's fugazi, they know it's fake, like they know there's nothing about. There, buy now.
They just flipped.
They all just flipped. Apple just flipped. Look at this. Like we were literally just talking about this.
That's how they do.
All not being right. Like these sells shouldn't have came through. Hopefully SpaceX doesn't go the other way.
It stayed.
Yeah, I know. I saw that right there. So there goes. Look at that. So there you go. The level of 216 that we just talked about is now smoking. So right there, you just got $2 on NVIDIA by closing your eyes and by just putting a bid out there. Oh God, my Siri just activated there for some reason.
From what word?
I don't know, maybe from Apple, I don't know why. But there it goes, man. I think I said smoking and maybe it got it. No, didn't do it again. Okay, anyways, there goes NVIDIA upside, man. What a story that those imbalances continue to be. Like, for no reason there. You just got a huge move. And look at the Nasdaq too.
It's Friday for you.
Yeah, it's Friday for you, I guess. And it just goes to show you maybe some lighter volume. All right, just over a minute before the open, let's go get the details on Anthropic potentially coming out.
It's not today.
October-ish?
Not today.
It will be brief here, but this IPO, at least, reportedly, they're trying to aim for something maybe even bigger than SpaceX. This could come in October, and they actually could file by the end of this month, Sia.
They definitely could. And they said, and I quote Anthropic executives saying that we will probably match or beat SpaceX's debut in size. So that is a bold statement there, of course. And we know Anthropic. Anthropic is a very popular name among a lot of people who love, especially Claude. And according to Bloomberg as well, like you said, that they could file for an IPO as early as the end of next month. But executives have avoided the question of what the valuation could look like here.
Yeah, and I think that's really going to be what we're all looking at. Citibank apparently potentially being added as an underwriter here. So keep an eye on some of these banks as we continue to get those underwriter announcements. We're going to send it over to the guys before the bell. Best of luck to all this morning.
Yeah, good luck, everybody. With about 20 seconds to go till the Friday opening bell, everything is pretty much staying as it was. Those flips on the imbalances have stayed more or less the same. DRAM got a bid. I guess one of the other names did. IBIT did not move on that imbalance, or Bitcoin did not move. We're still at 77,000. So under VWAP, still looking for a dip first. And the opening bell brought to you by Origenics. Shout out to OGEN on the NYSE as we ring it on a not free fall Friday.
Yet.
Again, well, it's okay, fine. We're up right now. I didn't mean to say it can't be a free fall Friday. It just isn't right now.
Right. I'm going to try, look at the NASDAQ there. Like, we just got that relief. We're like, the imbalances were wrong, but then they flipped, and now you're all the way back down to the downside as we continue to watch out for SpaceX. The only bid that I have in right now is on the futures into 71. So I was going to wait to see if that level wanted to bounce off of here. 71, basically the 50 period and your 200 period moving average there on the TQs. Trying to give this one a little bit of room if we do break below it, maybe to 70 and a quarter, 70 and 3/4, sorry, if we get a 71. So I'm at 71.15 right now. Going to try to see if we can make a play on that one. As Neil you mentioned no free fall Friday, and then we just fell, but it's still okay. We're still at 0.4 right there. So jinx on that one, my guy, over there. So watching out for SpaceX, watching out for NVIDIA, watching out for all these names as we continue to go. First trade, only bid in right now is on the futures. So if that comes in on your TQQ, I'm going to be on that one. So that's going to be what I'm doing right now. And then, before I throw it over to you, I want to check out, you have HOWL up. I want to check out Moderna just to see what that was doing. A little bit of a spike there in Moderna. I wrote down Moderna 140 as a potential break zone there, but there is some coverage up to 146 if that winds up happening. And you asked about the spread on Moderna earlier. Yeah, it just opened up. It opened up like 50 cents or so at times there on MRNA. SpaceX just dumped, by the way. Yeah, go ahead.
Those small cappers, JUNS just lost VWAP, and the other one, HOWL, which I was asked about. I sit out the opening ranges on these just to see how they shake out and then play above or below VWAP. This one's trying to break a buck and is holding a little bit better, not much. I just looked up and saw SpaceX. Whoa, dump zone. Okay, it was at 134, now 133, starting to head back in here. The place I'm looking right now is like, where's the dip going to be in IBIT? Because we're still underneath. It's either dip into that 42 half zone, closer to 75K, or once we can reclaim VWAP, then look for some kind of a long DRAM. That's looking pretty weak as well as the memory chip names. Zoom in so you can see better. Failed a breakout. So the first move is a false break. So if you're looking long, then that means I don't want to sit on the bid when we just had a false break. So got to be patient here. Maybe I do look at HOWL if nothing is setting up. That's barely even moving. Like, this has done 100 million shares in a 5-cent range on a $1 stock. So even this is kind of boring.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, we have a first position here on the TQs. It came into 71. So we're going to try to go long on this dip. I mean, that free fall Friday is not going to happen, I don't think, but we're going to go long right now, and we're just out 10 cents. So this is a pretty good trade. I don't know if it's a pretty good trade, but I think it's, at a 71 level. And the reason why I like this is we've just come in, and I want to use some of these levels right into here as some buy zones. I just want to give it a shot. Look at yesterday early. The futures were really choppy, and then actually even just started to really head lower. So we're going to stop out on this break right there of this high. That's 70. So if we break below that, then we're going to stop ourselves out on the futures and just say, you know what, enough is enough. What's up, Adara?
Yeah, keep an eye here at NVIDIA. We talked about this report here that NVIDIA could be investing in Cloverleaf infrastructure. I'm just hearing here at 9:30 a.m. Looks like they have actually formed this partnership. So basically, this partnership will involve the deployment of NVIDIA DSX platforms at AI sites. Again, this is coming from Cloverleaf infrastructure. Cloverleaf targeting, gigawatt scale AI factory buildouts in the U.S. in partnership now with NVIDIA. As I get more details, I'll keep you posted.
Man over there, Andre, but the position board has been brought to our attention and not functioning correctly. Okay, SoFi was breaking back down below 18 again, and then it kind of just bounced off of that level. So SoFi could be another look right here, up 2%. You know, we like stocks that are strong in a strong market, although this market doesn't look to be too strong right now. But there goes SoFi, up a little bit there. We've seen some good plays with Robinhood as well. I bought a little bit more down there at 71 flats. On the TQs, if you're just wondering why my price changed slightly there. I didn't add that much to it, man. I added another 15%. But Robinhood up 5. So that's, you know, we talked about how Robinhood, not for some reason, I think it's a trading engine, right? As Bitcoin goes higher, they just have more trading activity as far as, you know, that side is concerned. So Robinhood getting a little bit of a bump there. Now, I think we can safely say that like Robinhood and Bitcoin, there is a little bit of a, you know, marriage there with how
Moderna is blasted.
Oh no, I wrote down 140. It probably broke that, right?
Yeah.
Ah, gosh.
144.
Look at that.
Oh wow,
we're
starting to come back
I'm always on the wrong ones, man. It's like the ideas are solid.
It's crazy.
I don't take the right ones.
So the high in the afternoon, in the morning range was that 146 level on Moderna. That's not where I'm looking right. It probably should be where I'm looking, but unfortunately it's not. Oh, it's gonna break the 10s. There was a bottoming tail wick here, and we're about to break VWAP. I'm like, okay, I'll try to get 20s. I'll stop at the low of the day and try to add if we can head back up to VWAP on DRAM, which is what I'm looking at, as you guys can see. But 146 is getting there on Moderna. If it breaks the low, this is too early. It's like 935. What am I already doing in this when it hasn't filled in this gap? So whatever, 10-cent stop. Again, too early. All right, let's look at Moderna now, because I don't think we're not showing any kind of a bottoming pattern. I can like it long, but why try to force it? Here's what Moderna looks like, and this is where it topped out, where the sellers got in control. So it has to break, you call it like 150, but it's 145 to 150 was the sell range yesterday. I think that's where the shorts get a little bit more concerned. VWAP's gonna now be at your 140 level, believe it or not.
Oh, man.
So the volume weighted average price now sits at that 140 level, at least for a potential play. HOWL had that small cap. How is it not even moving?
What about that JUNS?
Why, like seriously, how is a small cap gapper? That's not moving either. Neither one of those are in play. I'm just trying to distract myself from trying to buy the dip again in DRAM and letting it close the gap that I said I was supposed to be waiting for. If it's not going to be above VWAP and it's not going to wick the bottom and go higher, then I got to wait for it to close the gap if I want to be bullish on it.
We are restarting. You can see we were starting the position board and everything, so it's kind of sent everything offside there a little bit. So we're just going to try to get that reset. We are getting ready to get stopped out for a 25-cent hit on the TQs. We're long at 71.05 right now. This JUNS, yeah, definitely not, you know, created equally. It doesn't look like right now. It's not. Neil might was going to look like he's going to win that one. I think that this was. I thought, that this was going to almost halt immediately off the open. It's kind of a good thing we didn't get punched into that because it was close. That went up to 920 right there. We're looking for 950 break on JUNS, and that might be part of the story moving forward here if nothing winds up happening. Okay, you could see my out just happened right there. Free Fall Friday might be in, man. I mean, we were up almost 0.7. Now you're right back to zeros there. So I just stopped myself out on the futures. You know, a hit is a hit, but I just don't want to be in it for that long. So we tried that bid there as it came in, and there was really no recovery. There, on a 1-minute chart here, there hasn't been a green candle. So definitely downside right now for now. And SpaceX is also, falling, man.
Almost at 130.
Yeah, just wicked down there into 131. A name that is cruising today is IREN. That's going to be a nice move up 6% right now. So that's moving higher there, IREN. I'm still...
Bitcoin's starting to catch a bid before the market does.
Moderna. Can't believe I didn't catch that one there. Oh, yeah, and look at this one, of course, because I'm not out of it, but there goes Uber right there down to 78 flat. Now back up to 79. So Uber trying to do something.
There are two things that are certain in life.
Yeah.
One is that you're eventually going to die. The other is that Uber is going to fail the $80 level.
Okay.
That's basically. I'm obviously joking about that. It's just it's ironic that it gets there and it refuses to break. It's like one good move past that, and I think you get a good jaunt, and that's your exit strategy because it'll make a couple of weeks worth of run or whatever it ends up being. So Bitcoin is catching a bid before the Nasdaq. It seems DRAM continues to go lower, so I want to try to be patient with it. But we can do that whole fail the low, get back above the volume weighted average price, which has worked. It wasn't as good the first time yesterday as it was the second time through, but I don't know which VWAP hold is going to be good, so I'm going to take the first one, and then if it does it high or low and does it again, I'll take the second one and probably give it 3 swings to get above the volume weighted average price. It's just not doing it yet. So yeah, strength in Bitcoin, at least for now, into what's been a pretty weak market so far. Like not a heck of a lot has looked good the morning. I know some names that people might think would be lower with the Nasdaq down. This one stands out. Meta, for reasons, is above VWAP and looks like it's trying to break out. Not sure why, but it is.
All right, I'm going to try Meta. Okay, yeah, my guy Joy Options over there was talking about Meta, and he likes that one.
Catching a bid.
He educated himself with the All In podcast there, and was talking about some Meta there. So we'll have definitely have a look over there once it gets going. Intel, again, like just an epic fall right now with the market as the market can't catch a bid. So Intel, this is I liked 92, but this is when the market looked a little healthier than it does right now. So I just put a bid down there at 90, but that just
what a bounce.
Bounced off that. Yeah, bounced about 80 cents on that one. I am going to get back into the Nasdaq because I do think that this is just a wash. So a break of 71, which I kind of liked in the first place, that's where we started building against it. We did get flushed out 30 cents downside off that 71. Our average price, we had 2 units, so we did take a 30-cent hit on that. So that's that's like a 60-cent hit on 1 unit, but I was pretty comfortable with it. So we're just flat on the stock now. Of our position, but obviously down on the day. If we break back above 71, I'm going to try it and then just give it 20 cents or so, not let it go all the way back down into that bottom again, because if it breaks the low of the day, then you're back into this area. Like, no, doesn't surprise me that we got a bid off of that. I just didn't want to hold it much longer off of that in case we did, see down here. So in the morning, it's a difficult trade, but. Anyways, we're going to wait for it. That's 71 breaking there. The trade of the day, according to this, would have been so far Moderna. It was the only one that's hit so far. The SpaceX 134 long, that wasn't even valid in the pre-market. And that's the problem with writing down these sticky notes. It comes right in there and bounces off that with the imbalances. And now SpaceX getting lower. The good thing about SpaceX is the news is somewhat positive. We had President Trump talking about more money coming into the space side things, especially on the commercial side. So that should benefit SpaceX. Neil mentioned he wanted 10 times the launches, so that's a SpaceX thing as well.
Yep.
So funding looks like might be there. I don't know if it what that looks like right now. But a 131 to 130 area for SpaceX was bought yesterday. We could see if that comes into play one more time now. Yeah, maybe Adara can look that up because NVIDIA did have that move down, and I do have it on the chart.
Yeah, your chart has it.
Around like 6 a.m.?
Yeah.
I was seeing people post on that on social media, and nobody knows why.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of people were trying to figure it out. This is around the same time we were hearing those rumors about potential succession. So I think maybe the way some of those headlines were worded, some people thought that, he's stepping down right away. That's the only thing I thought. But
that's valid, right?
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because if someone thought that he would
any
time soon be stepping down, well, it just takes one fool to sell at that time.
Yeah, we talk about how this is an algorithmic world, right? And so they get that headline, just like when we talked about it with those imbalances, right? So thanks for the super chat. And I think, Adara, that rhetoric, like that story, to me, makes sense. Something hits the wires, it's instant sell. The volume's not huge on it, so it's just at 5 a.m. The liquidity does hit that thing lower. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense on that one. Okay, you're into IBIT.
Bitcoin's trying to go here, but the frustrating thing is
it will go.
Yeah, I think it'll go. We're at 77. Remember 78 was a bit of a level in the pre-market. There's 77 too. Sean always has it up. I can probably do that as well. But for now, this pre-market resistance levels are where it's at. So 43.8. VWAP's at 6. So it's effectively like 0.5%
markets can
to
go
there,
red.
and then we'll at the highs of the day if we can even get there. You know what? This isn't the reload that shallow.
I don't want to sell anything.
The other thing that's frustrating is DRAM. I might have to cancel. See that bottom tail? Like when I'm able to get right off the low of the bottoming tail is when it's no good. Right? The time I try the same move and try to get it like 5 cents off the low, no fill. You just couldn't be fast enough. And now it's already to VWAP and coming back in, and the market's still going lower. So that was a bit of a swing and miss. It might have already given you the little bit the retrace to the volume weighted average price. So we're just into IBIT for now. Moderna is still running for everyone out there. Those small cappers are still looking pretty. I don't know what to tell you, Jupiter.
Wow, it's a good thing we got out. Oh my God.
You know what?
I have that stuff.
The longer that this just sits here holding and accumulating, I suppose the better the break could be. Even if it's not doing anything now, it just seems like it's accumulating. But HOWL is losing the bid the other way. It's underneath VWAP and underneath the button.
I just want to remind you, we only have 1 more minute until the PMI.
Oh, that's right, PMI.
So we'll go over to Adara for that. I feel like it's getting colder in here. I don't know if that's just me, but
AC.
We're going to wait. Google's not doing a whole heck of a lot. SpaceX still at 131.50 right now. So it's going to be one to watch out for at 130. All right, we're 30 seconds away. Let's throw it back over to Adara as the market, wow. I mean, it's a good thing we emptied out. And now it looks like obviously our position board's working. But that's why we kind of got out. Like this market could start to make new lows and looks like it wants to turn red. 20 seconds until the number. Let's throw it back to Miss A.
S&P Services PMI 54 forecast 54.6 prior. S&P Manufacturing PMI 53.9 forecast 53.9 prior. S&P Composite PMI 54 forecast 54.5 prior. So we're expecting lower prints for services, and Composite PMI, Manufacturing PMI expected to be in line with the previous print. We just got this S&P PMI data in. Global Composite PMI 56 versus 54 expected. That's higher than expected. Global Manufacturing PMI lower than expected, 53.2 versus 53.9 expected. And S&P Services 56.8 versus 54 forecast. So these are stronger than expected composite and services prints. Manufacturing a little bit lower than what we were expecting. And you do get a little bit of a pop here on the S&P 500 with these numbers.
Yeah, so that's a nice little rebound there. I mean, the market needed that. I mean, it was trying to come off the mat there again. So that's a nice little number there. 56.8 versus 53.9 on the services. Composite as well higher, 56 versus 54. The global manufacturing is slightly lower. They're all roughly in line, but it's 2 versus 1. So 2 up, 1 down right there is a decent opportunity there. So I think Bitcoin will work on that, and the market is bouncing.
We were looking for what is moving. We found it. I'm pointing at the screen like you guys.
Yeah.
Robinhood is up 12% right now. And you know, after we look at Robinhood, we always have to look at SoFi, which is SoFly. It is also up 4%. All green candles. The one that reported, I swear if this thing isn't even off the lows, then you know it's trapped. Look at Webull. Webull after earnings. Hey, remember what we said about that $10 level? Let them sell the fintechs after earnings, wait a couple of days, and then next week or 2 weeks from now, this is going to break that 10, and then you can go. So that's where a little bit of strength is. Robinhood absolutely flying.
Yeah, we looked at that, it was up only 5%. So that's
I know, like
huge
12% now. Huge breakthrough off the 100 level. There's resistance at 108, maybe a pullback there. And you can't know. I mean, some of it could be crypto related, but like I said, like Bitcoin broke VWAP, went effectively 20 cents, and is now just not even moving. Still want to see that high of the day. It's at least strong relative to the market, but it looks like crypto, I don't know, maybe passing the baton over to Robinhood. Is Coinbase up? Yeah, Coinbase blasting. This is, they just shifted where the buying is going, and it's going into Coinbase Robinhood.
I didn't shift anything. I went back into the long here. So the reason why I was initially going to wait for 71 to break, I just think the risk to reward now, we got 2 better numbers than we expected there. I thought maybe that low could have been in. I saw Intel bounce up to 92. We see IBIT trying to bounce a little bit with Bitcoin going a little bit higher right now as well. But it doesn't look like the market wants. I thought like, okay, we got almost into red territory there on the market and we bounced off of that with those numbers. So I was like, okay, it's time to go. But no, it's not right now. But my average price is 67. So as it comes back up, hopefully we're able to capture a little bit of profit. If we can take, that 25 cents or something like that, back up near 71. I think that would be pretty good. But here we go. We're flat on this trade right now. I don't like all this dip buying, man. If we break the low of the day, we'll give it a heartbeat and then just punch out. And it looks like we could easily now go 0 for 2 on trying to dip buy into what I thought was not going to be a Friday meltdown, but it looks like maybe it is. And we talked about what
still flat.
It's still flat, yeah. We just talked about what this week could look like. It's been pretty bad, right? This is what the TQs look like on the week. This is a daily chart. So, we kind of start the week at 77. You're down now 10% on the TQs, which means we should be down roughly 2.5% or so on the Nasdaq in general. So that's not, a great movement there for the Nasdaq on the week, right? So, maybe the sell-off.
Apple's a problem.
Yeah. Oh, Apple's a problem. Okay, that's not going to be good for this. So I'm just trying to see if we can hold right now, and it doesn't really look like it, and I don't want to give it the whole day. So if this does fall apart on me, then we're going to get out, and it looks like that is what it's doing.
Remember,
just a shot here.
Remember what happened to Apple in the afternoon, right? Like it didn't seem like it made sense, but it was just this flat bottom break on Apple, and it continued. Man, it did the same thing at the open, failed a high, and basically the same move, like $3, $4, $5 to the downside. So Apple's dragging the market lower. Because I was looking at Meta, I'm like, oh, that's not too crazy. We already talked about Nvidia and the like. So yeah.
Nvidia moving higher would be nice, but
Nvidia is holding the low. That's a different story. Like right now, when the market's at the bottom, it's like, are you holding the lows? And Apple was the culprit that wasn't. So for now, I wish I was in Robinhood or SoFi, but we looked at IBIT because Bitcoin was moving. Didn't really see it moving over to Coinbase. No, so hopefully we'll get the high of the day soon. Rustam, Stack. Oh yeah, you like this Stack name. It's not the first time. So if you give us a super chat, we appreciate you. We'll look it up. It's still not moving. I appreciate the super chat. We can bring it up. We can mention it. It ran before. It's not running now. I hope for your sake, if you're in this one off $1, that it holds $1 and ramps for you. But it's doing absolutely nothing again today.
Go.
So we'll see. Sorry. What are you going to do? Like, I wish the stock was moving, and whatever. It's over $1. That's always a positive for a penny stock if it can hold the buck, which it is. There's something.
Yeah, we like it. We're starting. I just took a little bit out there at 76 there on the TQs as we did make a move into. The high rate there has been 90. So now I have an offer at 85 to see if we can get a little bit more out there on this TQ position, and then we'll see if we can battle back the rest of the day. Just making back a little bit of what we lost there early on this, and then I literally got out of 15%. So we'll try it there at that low and see if the Qs want to work out. The trade of the day that's missed for, MSRG, what's that? MRNA was missed, right? And that's at the high of the day, 148. And we even had some talk here on my Twitter when some trading ideas, when I asked some of you guys there as well. It was, maybe it was something else. Maybe it wasn't this note, but it was about any trading ideas that were out there. And some of you had put on here Moderna, and I kind of said that I liked the long side. I liked the story. I can't remember where I put it, but it was about liking the story for Moderna there today. So I think that, day two now was yesterday. This is now the next day 3 into a Friday. It's a good story overall for MRNA and what they're trying to do. So up 10%. It was a little bit of a sell-off there yesterday, as you can see. That 131 bottom looks like that. We'll see if that holds, but for now, it's doing well. Yeah, it looks like we did a good job getting out of that 15%. Now, could we wind up losing on the last part of this, which would be the majority? Yes, it looks like so. As the market there, not going to work. Like we had thought that those positive numbers could get it going, so we did dip by there on those numbers, able to get it out. But again, our main take was right there at 70. Here it goes. So I'm getting out just as a hard. I put 44s. So look, there it goes. We're going to get stopped out here of the TQ. So it looks like we will go 0 for 2, but still relatively light on the trading there for the Nasdaq, but it is a losing trade right there. Looks like that Bitcoin just keeps on working, man.
It's holding
to the upside. So I think forget about the Nasdaq.
It should have been SoFi.
No one's looking at that.
I don't know why we didn't look at Robinhood.
Nasdaq just went red.
Look at SoFi. This is the thing that's getting me because, like, it's just it is FOMO. Like that's IBIT. Like it's bouncing. It's not doing that. Like SoFi is on an absolute tear, and I know. Look, Robinhood's doing more.
SoFi's on a tear. Oh, okay,
yeah.
They both are. We looked at those both earlier.
No, Robinhood's having a bigger move, but I'm calling up SoFi partially because I own a lot more SoFi than I own Robinhood. But look at these things go. Coinbase as well, making that move. But we're having trouble with 44 on IBIT, so I think we're getting the dip. Maybe look for the reload on VWAP. I'm glad we didn't touch and chase. I'm glad we didn't chase DRAM up here because look at. this is the VWAP hold, right? So this is your VWAP hold. Here comes your confirmation that we can bounce and make the higher low. It blew through the volume weighted average price like nothing was even there. There's just not a lot of strength on the bid yet. So until we start seeing some buyers step up, I don't want to take another swing at this. Market's just a little bit too weak. Crypto was fine, but everything else is looking pretty bad. Moderna, it's already $150. 149, now up 11.5%. So
Jesus.
Oh, man.
That is nuts.
Any guesses where it bounced? VWAP.
VWAP, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we love that name. All right.
Always VWAP.
We had mentioned 216.
Always.
There's been we've seen it many times here where the market has bounced back off of these early
That's
moves.
216, not 316.
Yeah, I know. Joe's just getting excited over there. I like that. But yeah, that low of 215.70, I want to see yesterday. Like, so this was the move down for NVIDIA. Obviously, it doesn't turn around until 12 o'clock. But, you know, yesterday, again, off the open, move higher, gave us those bids, and then absolutely tanked. So I'm kind of thinking if we could do the same thing right now, moving lower, now if we can get back up to the upside, that would be well appreciated. It does look like we get down to 215.90. I'm bidding 215.80, so we just missed that reload right there. But let's give NVIDIA a chance to get back, right? I mean, the Nasdaq just turned red just right now. NVIDIA's trying its best to get back to the upside. We're long at 25. If I didn't like the trade, I can get out right now and, you know, just figure that out, but we're going to let it go just a little bit. And if it does this kind of a move, then maybe we can get a little bit more out, because it has been a little bit of a bleed there today for yours truly. But there, okay, yes. Bang, yeah, let's go. Finally, we catch one there. You know what, futures? I used to like you. Don't like you no more. But no, I think it was either this or Apple was a big one yesterday for me, but you know, we definitely tried to stop the bleeding there, and it just didn't happen. It went down as far as 70. Yesterday's sort of level there that we bounced off of. But we choose NVIDIA right now and just get back into that name as you know, good little level there for NVDA. Let's get some more out at 80, man. We have to do that. So there's a nice move higher on NVIDIA. We'll take that 50 cents for now. We're out of about 35% of this trade now. So, you know, it hasn't been a super exciting morning as far as, you know, the longs have been concerned, but maybe NVIDIA does want to get going a little bit over there. But yeah.
Well, there have been exciting longs.
There's
it's just
been some great
like
trades.
SoFi and Robinhood have been
Moderna's
taking the cake, and Moderna is at $150. Like those are absolutely blasting higher. It's just that the market, the Nasdaq, the ES, they're just languishing. Apple, AMD, like even just now, like the memory chip names were so good. You just tried to take VWAP again and got rejected.
Yeah, another coming back in again.
Like just
Stupid
when it
NVIDIA.
looks like we're gonna get this breaking out higher, no, it's not happening. I can tell you, I'm looking for that reload. If VWAP can confirm the hold here, then I think we can be adding to at least IBIT. That's at least something, because there's just not much.
NVIDIA, okay.
Not that much that's looking all that strong for now. And by the way, SpaceX is very close to 130, but it looks like the bottom was 131. So we were wrong by $1. But that's not, I was just pointing out an obvious level. If you zoom further back, 130 was a very, very obvious level. Doesn't look like it wants to get there, so I might not end up long SpaceX unless we change the plan of action. But that's too bearish to jump in just yet. Let us know what you guys are watching out there. Want to make sure that we're following all the names that you guys find interesting. But I think we've covered pretty much the entirety of the spectrum that's at least moving so far, especially these fintech names.
Yeah, give us a.
I feel like this is program buying on SoFi and Robinhood. So I will take some kind of a short at some point, because that is program buying. And when you see it, it's like the second it looks like it's stopping, like a topping tail, first red, something along those lines. It's so far from VWAP, 50 pennies. That's like 5%. I want to take a shot, or well, 3.5%. I'm going to take a shot at some point on SoFi or Robinhood, one of these on some kind of a trend reverse. The difference is Robinhood's checking up, and SoFi just looks a little bit more parabolic, so it gives a better upside if it does like wick one of these highs.
Yeah, Scott H. You have no idea how frustrating it is, because again, like we only had a few ideas and none of them really have hit. You know, SpaceX 134, we were never going to take that at the levels that it was there. I do like the 130, so I think, you know, I'm glad Neil brought that up because I think we got to go over and look at that. The IBIT, Neil had that. That was a good one. We didn't, you know, that price didn't come in, but, you know, we did like some of those pre-market levels there on IBIT, the 92 on Intel, and then the Moderna, the 140. The Moderna 140 is the only one there, and it was a break long. We often can say that, you know, on Fridays, sometimes the break longs aren't necessarily the greatest thing to take, but today on Moderna, there's that 140, and we just kind of found it, and we did this work earlier. It was just right into here. Some consolidation there yesterday. We did have that dump down noon time yesterday, which gave us some of those lows of 130, but just to come back into 140, as we were saying, it looks like 138, a little more aggressive on the break long there. So now if you just sort of, oops, I don't want this on. If you sort of now just go a little bit higher into some of the levels, I think this $10 makes a little bit of sense why we're stopping here. You know, some more areas just into yesterday there as well. So I'm just trying to catch it. If you are long Moderna, I do think the top, like this 160 to 165 area right into here, a decent spot. So if Moderna does have legs, which it does, I don't know if it's going to continue. I think it's been a great trade. Take your $10 or $11, $12, and then watch out for a 150 break, and that should obviously give it the next little level there. We're now cruising, man. I mean, this NVIDIA trade has really turned this frown quite upside down, to be honest with you now. So there it goes, man. We find the stock. We talked about it all morning, right? When we looked at Broadcom, and I just said, like, hey, if Broadcom can hold this area, which it's in right now, actually, similarly to what NVIDIA was holding yesterday, then we like that trade. But NVIDIA gave us the trade, and Broadcom is actually, look at this. What a bleed on Broadcom. I mean, that's a 375. That's now down $10 there on Broadcom. I just heard 10 seconds in my ear. What? I didn't think we had any numbers.
What?
Adaro. So maybe double check that.
No,
Someone
we
just
don't.
said 10 seconds.
No.
Okay, good. So I don't know, nothing coming out in 10 seconds that we know of. But NVIDIA just had again, just wicked up there to 80 again and now fell back through. So this Nasdaq's going to have to get, there it was. I just heard my ear said still waiting. So I think maybe the guy's wrong on expecting something to come out there. Yeah, nothing. Okay, we don't see anything there.
I don't think so.
Another little out on that bump for NVIDIA. We're going to go to Adara at the desk. Who's got happening now?
I mean, we were 10 seconds away from being 1 week away from the Jackson Hole comments from Kevin Warsh, because those are going to be 10 a.m. next Friday. But that's it. As you guys can see here, that we were not expecting any numbers at 10. So odd look there. S&P 500, I mean, it still gapped up, to be fair, still above where we closed yesterday, but giving up some of that early pre-market strength, just cascading a little bit lower here. If we take a look at the Nasdaq actually giving up pretty much the entirety of that upside move, roughly flat on the day. So Nasdaq underperforming the S&P 500. Certainly not underperforming, though, anything in the crypto space. I mean, certain names stronger than others. Here is Robinhood. Hood just making new intraday highs every time we look at it. You've also got here Coinbase in focus, MSTR in focus. So a lot of these crypto plays very mixed. They're not all strong, but they're also not all pulling back. So yeah, I mean, definitely interesting to kind of find the areas where there are some pair trades here perhaps. Then you've got memory. Here's SK Hynix, SanDisk also in focus along with Micron. These names, much like what we're seeing with Bitcoin, they're not all trading together, but we do have, of course, in focus this space as Samsung announced they're going to be trying to deliver some value to their shareholders, potentially some more buybacks after SK Hynix announced their own buybacks earlier this week. SpaceX, which a whole bevy of catalysts as it tries to bounce right now, just a little bit above that 130 level is where we bounced off of last. We have the Trump administration signing new national space transportation policy. They're aiming for 1,000 launches by 2030, whereas Elon Musk, CEO of SpaceX, says that he thinks the company can reach 10,000 Starship launches annually by the same year. So massive look there, interesting look here for SpaceX. Let's see if we can get back to that 135 level. In the meantime, we'll send you back over to the guys.
Before we do this, we are in new position. Oh yeah, it's gonna halt. Let's go. Halt. Right there, JU. No. Halt. Please halt. Let's go. Halt, JUNS. You can do this, my guy. Get into that halt state. Yeah, all right. There we go. So let's see what winds up happening. There's that 950, man. We put this on the sticky note today. We tweeted this out. We like the 950 break. So, tweet at me when this thing opens up at 850 and we lose $1, right? So
what just happened?
Nothing right now, 975. So it's trying to go right there. It's JUNS. It's moving around. and it's in the halt state right now. So we liked that one, thought that it was going to halt. We had sort of identified it when it was a little bit lower down there at $8, bouncing off of the 200 period moving average. Takes VWAP again. Once it does that, it's basically 5 or 6 straight up candles there into the halt. Yeah, buddy. Now, I got to cancel my. Oh shoot. Oh, did I just get? Oh no, I got to cancel my offer because
because the internal.
Someone's going to fill me internally over there on that one. So let's just give it a go. I was waiting at 995 in case I didn't know when it was going to halt, but I thought maybe if it spiked up there, we were looking to get out right there. That's 995 on JUNS, right? And so that was a little level there that I was thinking about. Now tapping into 980, but JUNS. What we can do now is we have the ability to put out a market on open order. So when this name opens up, we'll make sure to get that out. So limit on open. So I'm going to put right now 990, and I'm going to try to get out of a quarter of the position that I have. So right now it's tapping $10. So you know what, screw this, man. I'm only going to trade small caps now. But traders, here's an offer that even your broker isn't giving you. Thanks, Tisha, for this one anyways. Markets have been extremely active lately. For traders, this kind of environment creates opportunity. And of course, big moves means more setups, which means more momentum. But to take advantage of these conditions, you need 2 things, both discipline and of course, access to capital. And that's where Trade the Pool comes in. Instead of being limited by the size of your own account, traders can access firm capital and focus on executing their strategy and managing risk. No more fear of blowing up your own personal account. No more moving your stop loss too early because you're worried about your own savings. This is what we call limited risk trading. So if you do want to take advantage of the volatility in today's markets without risking your own capital, please go ahead and visit our friends over there at tradethepool.com. One word. You can also scan that lovely QR code right there and get involved with Trade the Pool. But there it goes, man. 10:15 right now, 10:14 right now. JUNS in halt state and looking good for the long. It should only be 5 minutes. And that halted at...
Well, it could be 10. It's a small floater.
Yeah, or it could be 10. Yeah, that's a good point there. It was 10:02:37, so we still got a few more minutes left on JUNS.
So Arthur, thank you for the super chat there. Let's find a short entry for MRNA together.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. I haven't looked at it in a minute, but the program looks like the program stopped on SoFi. I missed the punch back through 1910. I went over to Webull because it was doing the same thing on that pullback and just shorted the top into this high, which is about like 965. So while that's coming back in, like simultaneously, I'll probably we're still holding out that pre-market support on Bitcoin. So I might end up actually reloading Bitcoin while still short BMNR based on that program that stopped on SoFi. Still nothing to... Look, there's not much going on with DRAM. It didn't make a fresh low. That's a good sign. I like the fact that we didn't make a fresh low, but we're still not breaking through the volume-weighted average price. So I'd say that's still a little bit disappointing over there on DRAM. Not going to get in until we're either going into VWAP or I get something off of these lows at 57.6. So yeah, the crypto names are still very much in play, but the new position for me was Webull, and ultimately, it would have been better if I got the punch in SoFi because we'd already be in the money. But I'm just looking for the VWAP retrace. That, to me, was program buying. And the second it seems like the program stops, I think it's worth taking a shot. If we make a fresh high, we can always jump out. Juan Padilla is telling us about SpaceX.
Oh, no, did it bounce off 10?
See, that's a problem.
Or 130, I mean?
No, it never got to 130. 131 was the low. Look at it's actually 131.5 is the bottom. So I was like $1.50 away. That's not close enough to say that, okay, it was a long off of that level. That's not, $1.50 is a little too far away to have gotten to that one. But SpaceX on the rebound, looking pretty solid. Maybe we get a VWAP retrace, something like that, a little bit later on, but a bit of a miss.
We lost enough money on the TQs where we're just making it back now on NVIDIA, but this is not going either. I just have a bunch of outs right now. At the 25 period moving average. I don't really know if I like this, to be honest with you, too much anymore. I was going to play this against the lows from yesterday, but that might just be too far right now. If we break these low, well, I guess I can give it a little bit more room. That's 90s. Where am I bidding? On NVIDIA. Yeah, so I am bidding down here anyways. So I think we'll be fine giving it to those lows, but I am not going to be upset with getting out where we did on some of that play right there. So yeah, we'll average it in, but not now. We got to average in a little bit lower near those lows. The
10-minute halt.
10-minute halt. Yeah, okay, so it did not open back up there, Jay. Wow, right there. Let's go, man. I mean, you never want to count your chickens before they hatch, but now it's 10:44 right there. So now we're 90 cents in the money if it opens up now. That's probably not going to be the case, of course. But yeah, 10:45 coming through right now. We're long at 9:55 there on JUNS. And if you're not following me, all good, man. I don't blame you. But here's the post that we made an hour ago where we said, JUNS, I'm watching it. I'm going long on the 9:50 break. So we highlighted it, we circled it, we talked about it live on the show a bunch of times. So there it goes, man, 10:45 right there. What's up to Bovin and everybody in the chat that maybe is on this name with me? If you are, congratulations. I hope it does wind up printing for all of us right now and we're in the first halt. And we're actually in at a better price than the halt price, just 10 cents better. But there's the break, and thankfully we're able to capture that. Because remember, we're only crossing up 10 cents.
That's a good part of
So it actually
a breakout trade where it doesn't halt is even better.
Yeah, well, I was hoping to get some out
band.
First before it halted. But I mean, it looks like that's a good idea.
Why,
because, well, just because I didn't know, like, it could have come up here and bounce back down. But right now we got 10. This is the best part about this trade is there's nothing for me to do. I just
you just wait till
let it open up. I don't have to average in or get all excited about something that's not there. Oh, there now, now 10:50. It's 50 again, so we'll wait to see what's going on there. But our other NVIDIA is just doing its own damn thing right here.
Oh, about the super chat though.
Oh, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I know. Look, the super chat, you wanted to find a short in Moderna. I think the problem is this is not a stock you want to force to short. It was a short yesterday because it was obvious at the volume weighted average price. It's a trend up. Unless it breaks the trend line, maybe a retake through 150 would be a break at the trend line like that you could work yourself into. But this is not something that I think you want to be fighting. Like the next actual level on this stock is $160. Are you willing to short this all the way to 160 when it's at 52? My answer is a resounding no. So I shorted yesterday. I don't mind. We don't have to pay for locates. At some point, I might take a shot at it. But I think we're a ways away from seeing anything we like. All right, so that Webull's pulling back, probably SoFi. Again, I just want to make sure that, see, the program buying on SoFi stopped. It's now into like a different phase. Like normal trading is the only way I can think about it. If it gets back into VWAP, I expect Webull to at least recover some of that move back in. So let us know what else you guys are watching. I think that should be open up, Juns, in a minute or so. I have it in like 1 more minute that should be open.
Okay.
And you know what? I'm going to let it open and then watch the next. I don't want to. There's no point speculating on that stock just yet. So for now, Webull looking good. SpaceX, the excitement about that bid, it just dropped $1, so it's not really continuing anymore. The Nasdaq still doing a heck of a lot of nothing. So I just want to make sure we get our outs in Webull. Next one in 35, where it caught a little bit of a bid. If it gets all the way to VWAP, that is a 100% out kind of deal. I want to be out if this bounces off the volume-weighted average price, not trying to hold through for some kind of home run. These were parabolic, and this is post-earnings, and they did beat, even though they got dumped the last couple of days.
All right. Eurozone, there, Adair just got back to me there. It was Eurozone consumer confidence. So, yeah.
That's a big number, Sean.
Not on the radar, as Adara mentions there. So, I think that's a good
I'm all about the Eurozone.
Where's one at? One's all about the Eurozone confidence number. So he's going to have that updates coming for you at around 11:30. We'll talk about the Euro close with one up there at the desk. So here we go, man. We are now moments away. I'm getting out of 20%. Sorry, 25% at the open for $1. It looks like it's going to open at 1060. So, and then we're just going to hold it. And you know what? My stop order is already in on this name down at $8.20. So that was sort of like the VWAP kind of breaking back down in. So looks like we will, wait a second. What was that? 37. Okay, so now you are now 9 seconds away now from reopening here on JUNS. It's going to open up 1070. Wow. All right. Yeah, okay. $1.20 looks like we'll take on that first. There it is. Yeah. So we get that price. Look at it falling right back in. So the price that we just got there was 1077, which is where it reopened back up on there for JUNS. So, okay, coming back in just a little bit. And of course, because I am who I am, I'm going to offer out a little bit more there. We take one more fill there at 1020 to just take a bit out. This could still go against us. We are out of now about, it was a quarter, now we're out about 30% of that trade, so still holding on to 70% of JUNS. The next halt level is much higher because it's got to reset, right? So here it goes. Our best fill is the open at 1077. We sort of zoomed out on this one. There's really nothing there. It just split 75 to 1 reverse, so 1 to 75, which is why it has what it has. Only 600 shares outstanding on this name. JUNS going higher as the market going lower. And I'm losing right now on NVIDIA. So, you know, what we make on JUNS right there is something, but this is my second trade. Now we just bought some more 80s on NVIDIA, and my stop is that break of yesterday's low. So unfortunately, it looks like that may come into play now, 215.60s. So watch out here as JUNS doing good. NVIDIA for me and the TQs today, bad. So we'll have one winner, 2 losers on the board right now with, of course, NVIDIA pending. We just given back what we've made on NVIDIA, so still an up stock for me. But it looks like JUNS just not, doesn't, there goes, NVIDIA just dropped through. JUNS not really having it. Yeah, the bid's gone now on the market as well.
I ended up in an unintentional hedge on that reversion trade where I ended up, I'm sorry, I'm looking at JUNS just like Sean is, but I ended up in an unintentional hedge with the short in Webull and the long. Because like it's like the short will work in Webull, but then I was still in that IBIT from earlier on the reload, and that just took out the low. So that we ended up having to be a wash on those, unfortunately. But that's how it is. Like the setup is the setup. I'm not done with Bitcoin. If it gets above VWAP, the good news for this is the market is at the lows. The Nasdaq is at the lows. I know we say the market. The ES isn't at the lows. The Nasdaq is at the lows and pressing lower. But you still have a chance to put in a good higher low and retake the volume weighted average price. I don't necessarily think that that trade is done, but it is for now because I'm not holding it underneath that support at that volume weighted average price. This is why we didn't want to try to find a top in Moderna and just try it anywhere. Well, I mean, Moderna is now at 55. At least let it get to the next even dollar level, like 160. And maybe that's worth taking a shot. Like this thing is a runaway freight train. Like it's basically like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna stand in front of this thing as I try to get over to my train whistle?
Ooh, I like that one. I forgot about that one. Is that a new one? No.
It's relatively new.
Oh, okay.
But but seriously, if you're trying to go short on Moderna, you're just guessing. And if you're gonna guess, you might as well guess on a Friday at a huge level like 160. That's the way I would.
Is that where it's? Oh yeah.
No, it's at 155 now. I just think it makes a little bit more sense to wait a little bit for that. So, as I said, unfortunately, unintentional hedge in Webull and Bitcoin, because I'll just end up losing on the reload in Bitcoin to end up making it back on Bull and be overall flat for me. I will trade Moderna and take a shot at a reversion, but I'm going to be very patient with that stock. Remember, it's real news, game-changing, and short float. There are new shorts that have probably come in that are getting squeezed. There are old shorts that are getting squeezed. Shkreli's probably getting squeezed. You just got to let that settle out a little bit.
Yeah, we have an unintentional long ourselves. We were sitting there at 90s on Intel, and I was like, I don't know if we like this. But my stop has always been in. We just haven't got stopped out for 20 cents. So 89.80 break, and we're out. I do try to get out a little bit if this gets into the teens because, of course, this move down has not been well traded. So if we do get an opportunity to get some out, we will. Get out of here, fly. We will do, there it is. We will do some outs here, 15s as it comes up through on Intel right now, back to the upside. We did wind up shorting NVIDIA a little bit because I'm just like, hey man, if it's gonna break, then let's go the other way on NVDA. We'll see what winds up happening there. You know, look, it looks like for now, it looks like our boy Intel is saving the day a little bit here. INTC as we do buy, saving the day. I mean, it's got to go first before anything is saved. But there goes Intel backing off that 90. So maybe, how high did we just get there when I was looking at JUNS? So we did get into 35 there. could have definitely got some out there at 35. Randy is not here today, of course. So false halt on
I
Randy,
still fell for it. So it doesn't
being
really
there.
matter.
We did have, so I got out some when it looked like it was breaking through 10 to take that 50 cents there right now. We have still more than half. We're still in 65% of this trade. Looks like we did we did stop this move around that 1075 to 1080 level on JUNS. So definitely a little bit of a pause for concern there, as it doesn't look like it has too much go left in it. But hey, at the same time, it hasn't broke back down below yet. So, still in this trade. Let's give it a little bit of room. My stop still remains the same on JUNS, breaking back below VWAP right into here. So 840, 820 or so, which would put us into a loss on this stock. But we're trying to give it a little bit of room here. JUNS, one of the runners there today, as they got in some sort of agreement, as we talked about earlier, those flies still flying around. Definitely did not take advantage of that intel, man. That had a nice move up there into 935. If that happens again, we're sitting there getting some more out.
Kenneth, thank you for. I haven't even checked, but thank you for the donation. Where are we at? We've got to be so close right now. Oh, absolutely. We're now 89% of the way to the target, thanks to people such as yourself, Kenneth Fortes. And if you wonder what I'm talking about, Chop for Charity. 28 inches are coming off Fabian's locks. Well, they're not locks, the coif, I like to call it. And it's going to a good cause. Angel Hair for Kids, the Children's Voice Foundation. There's Kenneth. 526 was an anonymous donation that we got in there. We are so close, so close, everybody. So unbelievable. The link is in the description. You can also scan the QR. There was a QR code we can have up there, but links in the description. It's also pinned in the chat. And we're doing this live 1 week from today. Fabian's cutting his hair live on the show. Probably, I don't know, well, I'll just say Friday afternoon. Maybe we'll do it at lunchtime. I don't really know. We're going to do it live on the show. And thank everybody for their contributions. We have such a generous community.
It's the best.
Yeah, you guys are the absolute best.
Oh, he's here.
Fabian's saying in our ear, thanks to the chat, thanks to everybody out there.
Too.
Oh, they can hear you as well? Well, I can't tell, Fabian, when they can hear you and you're just talking to us. Yeah, so
they can definitely hear him, I'm pretty sure.
And for those saying SoFi is coming back in, it's pretty simple. The second SoFi, see this program buying? Everyone always asks us, what does program buying look like? It's just a guess. And my guess is this is what program buying looks like. And when it looks like it stops and something else was doing the same thing, that looked like program buying to me on Webull too. So when it stopped on SoFi, I just made an educated guess that it was going to stop on Webull at the same time. And it did. But it's almost at VWAP, which means I should be almost out. I'm going to get a bid at the quarters here. Why am I not bidding 925? If it turned at 950, then why not have a bid at 925? Markets are silly like that, and it's also a bit of a resistance from the afternoon. So yeah, I'll hold on to the last little piece for a VWAP break and see if this does a full retracement. I haven't taken a look back at that that small cap, sorry. Yeah, IBIT, you know what? I'm going to say the reason I'm going to call this just absolutely silly. There's a losing trade on a reload, but it was actually pretty sloppy because the second that turn happened in like Webull and Robinhood and SoFi, like right here, I could have just punched out of IBIT and been like, hey, something's changing. These are loosely related. Just get out. Don't lose the extra 10 to 15 cents. I could have got out break even on that stock, been flat on it, and then up in Webull instead of just making on one and losing on the other. That's just silly. To be honest. We're going to go up to Adara. We know there's one small cap is moving. The real question is, are there any others? I'm not sure, but we're going to find out.
And the answer to that is mostly no, Neil and Sean. I like to look at what's moving pre-market. So some of these names have already given up some of the move here. I have this SU group. This is still technically green, but it's given up some of that earlier strength. That being said, some of these names can always run later as well. SU group announced last night they were gained Nasdaq compliance. SUGP has a $6 million market cap and a 590,000 share float. HOWL howling to the upside, or at least it was. Now, there are two separate catalysts here. So I want to talk about this. Now, the first one was on our watch list. This came out well before 8 a.m. I actually think it came out last night. They announced the sales of their preclinical inducer platform and induking platform to EMD Serono Research and Development Institute. The second catalyst for HOWL, which came out later in the day, that would be 8 a.m. today, Werewolf and Ambros announcing a merger agreement and concurrent oversubscribed $150 million private placement. So two separate catalysts, both a good look for HOWL. Last but not least, Jupiter Neurosciences, JUNS. You've got an $8 million market cap here on this and a 490,000 share float, very small float here for JUNS. Back to you.
That's a good one.
We were just, that
We're just talking about
JUNS. So, it did just bounce off of the 25 period moving average there. So, definitely a look for JUNS down here somewhere as a bid. But we're still in. So we got some out, and I was just telling Neil, like, he was saying, like, maybe it's better to, try to get long before the halt. And yeah, I mean, that's all good. It's just at the end of the day, we did have a $1.30 winner, once it reopened on that first halt. I mean, the first halt was the highest. I mean, it did blast a little higher there. That's probably, hard to get that unless you're sitting there, obviously. But, that was a good out. And so, fortunately, we took out 25%, which was good. And we took out a little bit more there. So, we're still holding about half of this trade on JUNS. So, trying to see if there's a little bit more love into this name. And it's just so funny because, like, we had Intel long, we got stopped, and now I'm trying to play it off of this 25 period moving average, as I was like, okay, we mentioned earlier, like, was there going to be a free fall Friday? Then the next thing you know, the thing falls to the downside. So let's just play it that maybe the market does want to, stay underneath today. The Nasdaq is the only one that's red. If it's going to be really a negative day, you're going to have the broader market go with it. And right now, the S&P 500 is still up 0.3. So you still do have some get up here potentially in the ES. Helping this market get a little higher. Oh man, that sucks. Like, we just had Intel long, we got out of it. Now we're short. We're going to get out of that. So we're going to lose both ways, it looks like now on Intel. But right there into that level there, 60s, 90, 60, right there, the high, the 25 period. Let's see if we can retrace back down. We're short here at 90, 25s, 23s. Showing the 23s, yeah. So, nothing to really worry too much about, but yeah, we're short on Intel. Let's see if this one wants to get a little bit lower here. Going against my, my larger holdings. Oh, wow. We just cracked, like, NVIDIA is the trade, man. I mean, we reversed that short. This is that easy peasy sort of Katina trade there that he's algoed out on. And this one made sense to me. We had lost on the long there. It was actually pretty good. We didn't wind up losing a whole bunch on it. But then once it broke through 216, I was like, let's let it settle. And then we just went short. And there it goes right now, 70 cents in the money now on the NVIDIA short. So at least we got that working out for us as that's starting to break lower. Now we just need our friend, which hasn't been a friend of mine lately, Intel, hopefully can come back into that downside and capture a little bit of profit, lower than where we are right now. So let's see if NVIDIA and Intel can both lead the way to the downside. It looks like it's NVIDIA more than Intel at this point as, wow. Who would have thought, man? Down 1% there, NVIDIA getting lower, 214.50 we just touched out at. I'm going to put a bid there because I'm happy with that kind of price action on NVDA. Not happy with Intel, though, as that's going to the upside.
Well, the market's trying to make a little bit of a balance. Yeah, right. VWAP's going to end up holding, it looks like, on Webull. I'm just going to punch out. There's the view. Try to hold the last piece, right? Like that last little 10% in case it loses VWAP and then somehow flushes all the way. But Webull's bouncing pretty decently. But you know what is also bouncing? All right. Every single time we've been at or through VWAP on IBIT, I had it long, and I'm just going to remind everybody, when it finally got the bid off of VWAP and ran all day, it was at 10:55 yesterday. So it was almost 11 o'clock. We're almost leaving you when that reload was the best one of all of them. So it's entirely possible that's the same thing. Early is muted, and then later is the punch. It hasn't happened yet, but that is the next thing to look. There's this SDOT group, whatever. SDOT, that's another halter. This looks like it might be two halts, possibly a third one that I can't see. But then 69% to the upside, just to give you some levels on this, because this one actually does have a few. Up here around 15 to 16, 15 and 16 bucks looks like levels. And then from there, 20, sort of an obvious one. But SDOT, another halter and runner, much... I don't know, like this one had a bit of a late start. It didn't do volume until actually 9:55. So it wasn't doing anything in the pre-market for whatever reason, and all of a sudden just picked up there. Don't really know what's going on. If you were looking at the Moderna short, congratulations, you might have just got something. You just topped 56, but it hasn't really broken the trend line yet. It's still upward trending in my opinion. But IBIT's starting to go above VWAP, so we're going to take our third VWAP trade on Bitcoin today. Well, the first one was okay, but I think I was holding for a little bit too much, and that ended up being a bit of a mistake. So we'll try to get on the bid here at VWAP if it can close above, and then I'll look to go higher. From here, let's check out ETH, because maybe ETH is better, and I'm just ignoring it. You know, ETH is a touch better. Not much, but it's enough that I'll keep it on the back burner, that if IBIT doesn't get going, you got to look at ETH as well.
I stopped out of Intel up there at 91, and I was just saying, like, it's crazy because our initial idea here was long off 90. It breaks, we get out, and now we go short and get stopped out there again. So hopefully this can fall back in off of $91 right now. I was just kind of trying to think like Intel should be following maybe a little bit of Intel there, of NVIDIA, but yeah, right now not really doing a whole heck of a lot. There we go, we'll take some bids there at 70. I am also bidding 60s. Hopefully we can get that move, and then we'll wait for a little lower there on INTC as we try to make a little bit of this money. Now, see, like it drops down a little bit. We get some out there. 88s, out some 67s. This is why the bleeding, you know, the trades haven't been these huge monster moves for us other than Moderna, which we don't have. So we'll just have to try to scalp out, which is saving the net a little bit. But at the end of the day, man, I mean, the TQs, you know, that's been relatively choppy once we got started. I mean, it was a definite short, but in the last half hour, pretty choppy on the Nasdaq as we try to battle with this 50-period moving average. It looks like it's trying to get its way back up there into VWAP as we just peak on our Intel trade, which is now flat again for us. This JUNS.
Look at Tesla.
We didn't really, oh, yep. Tesla was another one breaking through 350, right?
Well, the break at 350 was very unclean. It was a 352 break that was clean on Tesla. Is there anything going on here, Adara?
So there actually was some stuff this morning, but it was the recall of, I was seeing anywhere from 2 million to 3 million EVs in China. So not a positive catalyst. And again, not one that I could find a ton of details on. If there is anything else that's good here for TSLA, I've been looking into it.
Yeah, it's good.
I haven't seen it. The other thing, apparently they're pulling plugs on solar roof tiles, like nothing that's positive, regenerative, I guess.
Okay, so I like that Nevada story, but you know what? It is that setup. We did lesson on this. Sit out the first 5 minutes, then all of a sudden, the reclaim of the volume-weighted average price, right? Allow it to shake everybody out, form a bit of a bottom, then you see it making the higher lows. This is your candle. Somewhere in here is your entry. It was a take of 350, but it wasn't like a 350 break. That's the reclaim of VWAP trade back through 350. That's unbelievable. And look at it go, now $360. So go, Elon, go to the 50-period moving average. Yeah, those stink bids at 280 don't look very good anymore. I can tell you that much.
Tesla,
yeah, those are gonna, they're good for 3 months. I don't have to cancel it just yet. But you know, IBIT's kind of languishing. ETH might be the way to go today. It's like a hair stronger. You know what? I'll give it a couple more minutes, but if we're still flat on IBIT and ETH trend looks better, then I'm going to pop over to ETHA. Like, I still like the fact that crypto is stronger than the overall market. Right? Like, we look at the Nasdaq a lot. We can pull up the SPY here. And obviously, these are like underneath VWAP and trending down. Want to play longs in relative strength if we can, and that's still going to be crypto at the moment. But Tesla is a big-time standout. Moderna is still going, and if you tried to short this, you got a couple of bucks there, but that's all you've been able to do. It's coming up on that 160 level. That's about the first place that it makes sense to me to take a shot on a reversion. 18% up. Remember, it's got a long way to go. That high we saw in the aftermarket was a 195 on day one, and then the pre-market high yesterday, you're talking about a wick in almost a 170. It's a big gap that this has to close in. A lot of room for it to still run you over.
Yeah, I'm getting, trying not to get run over here by bidding out of some of these trades. Look, man, we're in the dollar club right there on NVIDIA, so we just flipped up our methodology there and went short on the breakdown instead of just trying to capture, you know, crazy movements back and forth. We just kind of sit in this one, and I think this has been so far the appropriate style just waiting to see if NVIDIA wants to continue to lose the bid here. Who knows? But shorting Intel, we've been covering some of that. We're already out of half of that as that gets down into 50s, and we're able to cover that. Again, like the 25-period moving average has been like sneakily pretty good every time I see this thing. So, you know, more bids out there. Our best bid, I guess, hasn't been 50. It's been 60s, actually. So that was a decent one to make a little bit of the money back there. And then the JUNS, honestly, like, jump. Crisscross will make you a JUNS. You know, it's. I'm gonna put another offer up there. You know, like 85 or so. We've just wicked out a couple times up there at that high side. So, you know, if maybe it's just gonna be that 30 cent there. We have a bet that this is gonna try to halt 4 times. It doesn't look.
Well, 3.5 over and.
Well, 4, yeah. 4 I win, 3 you win. So it looks like right now it doesn't even think about halting anytime yet. So, you know, 1 halt will take so far, and we were in on it, so that's okay. But right in there, 990 sort of top, we'll offer that just in case that one wants to come through for us there. Nasdaq still having a problem, obviously, at the 50-period moving average. You know, I would be surprised if we do make a little bit of a run to VWAP there and then get hit again. You know, the last time we made that bump went into the 50 period, but now you're taking that out and trying to get a little higher there. So, you know, the stop out is ready to go on Intel if that has to happen. We have the out on JUNS, and we are covered. We did cover, I mean, like I just talked about it there, we did have some good coverage down there on NVIDIA, so that's okay. Yeah, but it's Intel that's on my mind now. My most amount of shares sitting now with INTC. Oh, it's Sia back at the desk. What you got back there?
Yeah, just saw the message about Tesla. So looks like Tesla has discontinued their solar tidal roof, and the product has been removed from the website, which was originally unveiled in October of 2016. You're seeing a little bit of a pullback in Tesla shares. Just wanted to mention that discontinuing their solar tile roof, and the product has been removed from their website.
I mean, like we've talked about Tesla maybe every day for the last 6 years, and I don't remember a solar roof discussion. But you know, we do know that they were in different things. They have different power banks and you know, different things that help with that. Oh yeah. There was also a tweet that came out to me today, and I got to go find it again, where we mentioned Tesla on it, and it was a break of 350. We said it could get to 360. Oh my God, I got to go find that somewhere in my notifications. But we did talk about that stock with somebody upside there, and that looks like that is what happened into 360 there. Nice little double, triple top on the 1 minute. You never want to look at like double or triple tops on the 1 minute. It's got to sort of come back in. So you want to look at like a 5-minute chart right there. So it looks like this sort of top right there, 360 is what you're looking for to break back down in, which we are now 358. So I think a 360 top area might be something, but you definitely want to look at this 357.40 to break lower. And then, you know, the big move would be back down into here into 350. But again, the market would really, I feel like, have to work with you to get that. But okay, finally, thank you, Intel. It's like, who's your daddy? Not me. We're going to try to get back to make a little bit of money there on Intel. But bang, there it goes to the downside. You know, if I could be more, I don't want to be, you know, too, but I kind of want to give the middle finger to Intel because, like, honestly, man, it was, tried to go long there, busted long, tried to go short, busted short, and finally caught it back down in there on the downside. So we will take a little bit out. No, we did not cover.
We did not see it.
We did cover something there. Yeah. Oh, so was it you, Jeremy Newman, there on the 350 there?
Newman.
Yeah. Good trade. I'm gonna find who it was there in the chat, but yeah, we did go back and forth there on Twitter about a 350 break. So glad you have that. You know, my hat's off to you. I mean, all Neil and I do is just sit here and talk basically stock all day. It's you guys are the ones, you know, putting out the trades. Like we could talk about DRAM, XOM, IBIT, this and that. You could see our trades, but ultimately everybody's responsible for the keys that they hit. So, you know, that's a great look by you there, Jeremy Newman. And, you know, big congratulations for whatever amount of money that you made there. Or even if you didn't make anything and you're in sim mode and you called it there. But, yeah.
Well,
great.
It seems like you did.
Yeah, it seems like you did too. But, you know, great call out there. And thanks for posting that up. And thanks, Sia, for that news there about the solar roof. I mean, you know, First Solar, we looked at TAN, some of those other
Like, if
names.
that's
I mean,
why it's moving,
It's still so expensive for what, you know, to lay those out, especially with no government. I don't know if there is any government subsidies. I know there's not too many here anymore for solar roofing and solar projects, but
No, that's
maybe that's part of the cut there.
that's killed it here, to be honest.
I would
Killed them.
look. Moderna long was one of the top ideas.
It did get to 160.
I only had 4 ideas written.
Good
down.
luck shorting till late. Thoughts? Yeah, I think you don't want to be like that's such an easy thing to say. Obviously, if you've been trying to short, you've just been getting destroyed all day long.
We'll wait. We're gonna wait. But okay, so there's Moderna.
Sorry, Obi just walked in. Whatever, you guys will see. I just lost my train of thought on Moderna. No, yeah, good luck with it. It did get to 160, but it could trend break. I'm waiting for either the trend to break or it to false break the $160 level. So like get up, break 160, fail right back underneath. Because I think there's a certain thing, like if you were trying to go long yesterday, like you had to wait until 10, 12, it made a low into VWAP, then made a higher low. Like you had to wait for it to settle down in here and hold the 128. It's patience if you're going against the grain, man. Like you just have to have a little bit of it. And I'm going back to I think maybe we're out early on that Webull. Like Webull's starting to lose under VWAP, so I'm thinking of getting back in. Like maybe a break of this low, but this time, if I take the break of the low, I'm just gonna get out of Bitcoin, even if it's only for like 5 or 6 cents, because there's no point being long one short the other. That was silly earlier. So I want to see this breakdown first, and then we'll jump into that name. But yeah, be very, very patient. And Vivek, yeah, you know what, that hood thing is very similar to what I'm thinking about right now on Webull. Like short that top when the program buy on Robinhood, SoFi, and Webull all stopped around the same time, and I think there's another leg lower. I just think Bull is weaker right now, obviously, than Robinhood.
Ride that bull, yeah. I think, Webull off earnings, of course, right? Last couple.
Yes, yeah, that's the difference.
Definitely reasons to do that. All right, so it looks like we could turn red on JUNS. It does want to break lower. I was actually almost stopped out right there on that break lower. So I'm going to wait for an 835 break there on JU. Oh, it looks like it's going to happen. This could even halt down on JUNS, which would not be a good story if that winds up happening. But there's the most recent low. So we're going to stop out on that low break right now as it's holding VWAP, but I don't know, man. It's not strong. If anything, the trade might be now to get long now against that 840 and then hope that it gets back up. I mean,
there's no
I love the word hope. I just don't like it in as far as trading is concerned. But hopefully this name can get back up into those areas there. But yeah, it looks like there it goes, man. I mean, I was expecting multiple halts. Thought that this real short float name could get going there, but no. 42 million shares there today on that one. A couple more covers, and we are so light on that compared to what we have on Intel. Like basically 10% of what we had on Intel is what we had in JUNS. So not that that really matters ultimately, but here's a comeback in again. We did have a little bit of a run up there for NVIDIA. It's coming back in now one more time. So we're going to bid in and around this 214.70 to take another bid out, but it's really just Intel that's on my mind now. 60 cents in the money. We're trying to make back. We're not going to make back everything that we lost, but we did put a little bit of a dent back into that. So yeah, Intel trying to make some moves right here, right now. We're going to give it a little bit of room to work in case the market does eventually want to hit the skids to the downside. We're in on Intel. All right, Adara, I'm bidding 90s. So if we can flush a little bit more, that would be good. Adara with an update. It's 10:40 already. Like,
yeah, it is.
Wow, this goes quickly, boy, when you're having some fun here trading. I hope you guys are as well. Smash that like and subscribe. As she's waiting patiently, so let's go over to Adara.
We'll get to Sector Watch, but first I want to add to the cocktail of Tesla stories because this one's also about Uber and Waymo, and this is actually really interesting. So Uber, Google's Waymo, and TSLA all receiving approval from the Nevada Transportation Authority to get permits to operate commercial robotaxis in Clark County. That is the home of Las Vegas. So robotaxis in Vegas is massive. You get up to 5,000 robotaxis here for Tesla. Waymo is allowed up to 1,000 AVs. Uber also up to 1,000 AVs. These will be deployed collectively 8,000 robotaxis over the next 12 months. So that could be a pretty big look here for all three of those companies. Again, all three of which did have some upside moves. Let's talk about the stock heat map because there's a lot to discuss here and there's a lot of strength, I think, as well here. Health tech, really strong. You've got Gilead, J&J, Eli Lilly, and Merck up 3%. Merck, of course, with Moderna for that cancer vaccine catalyst earlier this week. Non-energy minerals, strong communications, strong health services, strong distribution services, strong consumer durables looking good here. Tech services and finance. Let's talk about what's a little bit weaker. Producer manufacturing, both AMAT and LRCX pulling back. I've noticed a lot as of late, and probably because you have that AI-related catalyst. If these two names are weak, you likely have weakness in tech as well, and vice versa. So specifically electronic technology. So that's something you're going to be noticing here today as well. Utilities weakness, industrial services weakness, and let's talk about electronic technology. MRVL down 6% today. Intel down 2%, and some of these memory names pulling back again here. SanDisk, Micron, WDC, Seagate, all down 1% to 2% each. But you've got some strength here in the likes of Broadcom. Broadcom, of course, reportedly considering a $60 billion financing deal. You've got Cisco and GE also to the upside. Back to you, and do make sure to like and subscribe.
I didn't even.
DRAM's actually at the.
I didn't even realize MRVL did that.
Yeah, double bottom in here, but I don't know. Until you break the trend, forget about it. I covered IBIT. I know it's like kind of a tight stop, but this time, if I'm re-entering the Webull under VWAP, I just feel like it makes more sense. If I like this continuation short, then something needs to be really strong in crypto land. So we're short under VWAP. It actually just tagged 908 here, and we're trying to get fills closer to that 20 mark on bull. And of course, like similar names, like SoFi just plunged through VWAP. Remember those three names, SoFi, Robinhood, and Webull were all running pretty heavily. So right now, SoFi and Bull are beneath VWAP. Robinhood's trying to hold out the best that it can. Vivek, what up, Vivek? You shorted Hood. You expect Hood up? Oh, we got through this.
What up, my guy?
We did mention this one, that of those three names, the fintechs that were going, Robinhood for now is the strongest, but they all did a distinct turn. There was like a program that just stopped at about the same time on all three, and you're getting a little bit of continuation right now. But there was another super chat that I just saw that we hadn't gotten to. That's Adam James Abroad, who likes S dot. That was the other halter. Looks like it's halted another time. 1731 now up 100%. The tap is 1783. This was a late bloomer. It didn't really start picking up on volume until like 950 or so. Those are the tricky ones, because like how do you until it starts picking up volume at 940? Look how quick you have to get over to it, because it's not doing anything. It's not on your radar. There's literally nothing happening. And then all of a sudden it just starts breaking out. And if you can get that one early, that would be the golden ticket. Don't fight the Fed with a super chat. DJT is over 50% crypto and it's barely up. How? And I'm not applying logic to DJT.
Yeah,
weren't they supposed to be combining with a fission company?
You have to.
Wasn't that the latest headline? I know they did the fintech thing. I know it's the crypto play, but that was the last thing that had happened with DJT, was them and some fission company combination. So 3%. Yeah, I think it's a nothing burger almost all times on that, except for when it does if it doesn't move on a nothing story, sometimes there's a good reversion in there. And then we have 137 charitable contribution. Thank you for the donation. We're probably gonna get there today. No, not probably. We are getting there today.
Yo, yeah.
We're now at 4,600.
46. We can do that. Did you refresh it? Sometimes.
Yeah, we just cracked 4,600, 4,609. You can see it on. Yeah, it's kind of blurry, but 4,600. We're less than $400 away from the 5,000 goal. Thank you to Kathy. And thank you to Mark. Thank you to everybody. Appreciate it. We're such a great community, man.
Yeah, it's the best one.
With a week to go, forget about 5,000.
I almost caught that fly. I had it in my hand.
How about we just get it to 10? Forget about 5.
That's the idea. They're a week away from doing that one. As we went to Adara, we said that we were bidding 90s. So, of course, we did wind up getting 90s right there. We got 90.05 right there as Intel covering. We only have a quarter left of Intel. We actually got a really great fill too on Nvidia as that was all happening, just trying to support some of these lows, because I'm not sure the market wants to do a whole heck of a lot. I mean, it's flat right now. We've done nothing in the Nasdaq. I mean, sure, made that low, that was good, but just bouncing back and forth here with some of these names going back and forth again. What's up, Paolo, over there on Coinbase and on TikTok? We say thank you for watching. And as we've covered a little bit of SoFi, a little bit of Robinhood today, we do not want to forget about Coinbase. And Oh man, it's always so easy in hindsight when you look back at stock, and this came right into such a great level again of 150. But your belief in crypto, and that's why I think nothing trumps conviction. So if you do believe in something crypto related there, Bitcoin was obviously a great play, as was MicroStrategy, as is now Coinbase. Because again, like for the first time in a long time, I'm debating opening up my crypto wallet to have a little look to see what's going on over there now. And I think that's, does create more interest obviously in the space when you get those moves higher. You look at social media, people are talking about Ripple. Coinbase, of course, does pretty much, cover the majority of the world of coins, whether or not it's the stable coins, XRP, Solana, Cardano, whatever, Monero, any name that you're looking at is probably tradable on Coinbase. So, up 10% there today makes a lot of sense. I just think that was, again, like another great look for someone that spotted that early. I just have to say well spotted, right? I mean, we spotted the Moderna breakout. This one was a great one as well. And I kind of like, if there's a name that, a trade in the morning, obviously it's always breaking that little pre-market high, but sometimes that happens too early. So then just give it like that 10 or so minutes and see if you can find like some bunching, and then it's that break that sort of got it going and kept on.
That's the Tesla setup.
Yeah, exactly. Just with the 350 area.
Well, I think it's that whole 5 minutes. Like let it wash both. It rinses both sides.
Yeah, Tesla was a little bit longer.
And then it regains that VWAP. It's like the regain of VWAP.
Here, yeah.
And then all of a sudden that sets up the trade. But when it regains VWAP, I'm going to get out. So we got a little bit of a scalp off the low there, but it's back above the volume weighted average price. I don't know if that's also going to be true. Like Robinhood never broke it, but they're starting to catch a bit of a bid. I still believe that of the three, SoFi is under VWAP as well. Of the three, SoFi and Webull seem like they're the shorts. But yeah, look, they're back above the volume weighted average price. No need to fight it. If they're above VWAP, might resume that uptrend. All three of these caught a pretty significant bid. Moderna, I guess it didn't need a topping tail at 160. It turned at 159.5 and all the way back into the volume weighted average price. And 160 was also yesterday's, not the open, because this dumped 5 minutes before the open, but you can call it the resistance at the open even if it dumped a little bit early. So that's the 160 level. Let's see if Moderna has strength into VWAP. DRAM finally. Okay. So this was pull back into prior highs, right? Double bottom, break the trend. So I took one long in this. I thought we'd be a little bit more active in DRAM today. It just never really set up outside of trying to hold that pre-market low. Now we got something going with that double bottom in DRAM. So once this 3-minute candle closes, breaking this trend line, it's long, try to get to VWAP, try to get to the high of the day. It's just been such a weak start, but we've seen the market pull all the way back in before, right? Like this would not be the first time where we looked pretty bearish in the morning, and then we sort of woke up 10:30, 11 o'clock, and were able to do something with it into the afternoon.
Yeah, that's why I'm a little bit nervous about some of these shorts. I do appreciate the talk about maybe me getting out of JUNS there in the chat. I am going to take advantage of a little bit now. I'm going to offer I just offered some 16s there as it just went into 30s again. And the reason why I'm not like overly concerned about it is we're even lighter now as we get out of that. I still have half of the position right there, so we just got out of another 10% right there at 917 because it is your 200. Or I keep saying 200. The blue here, I don't know what it looks like on your screen, but that's VWAP, and then pink is the 50 period. 25 period is our gray friend there. The 200 is green. So that's what we're looking at right there. And so just another piece out. So what I was just thinking was if we broke, we just tried, and so maybe it's not right, but we have been bouncing off VWAP. So what I put in the chat there was a break below VWAP into these wicks. If we break through there, then that's going to be my stop, and it could just be one of those nasty things where it comes back in. I get stopped out somewhere around like 820, and then we rip back up. But the fact is that we only have half left. If we wind up losing, it'll be about $1. We took about $1.20 right there, which was 25%. Then we got out of more. Now we have half left. So it'll be roughly a flat trade, slightly red on JUNS I would think, if it takes down those lows. So, quick math puts us a little red on that. So, I'm not going to worry about it. We have much bigger positions on every other name that we have. So, and I just, before we go over to Adara, because we only have 10 minutes left, we do have money talks coming up. We do have what's for lunch, by the way. So we got to look at that again. And we forgot that yesterday, which was the butter chicken controversy. But we're going to, I was going to trade SpaceX. It's funny that SpaceX bounced off these levels. I was actually thinking of a break back low on SpaceX underneath 134, but that doesn't look like that's going to happen. So we are going to cancel that right now as SpaceX getting right back to where we started the day now, back to 135. So no shorts in sign right now for SpaceX up at the 135. So we're going to have a quick look at that when we get back from Adara, and then we'll talk about what's for lunch. I hope sandwiches, even though we did have grilled cheese yesterday.
I'll take it.
More lunch talk when we get back. Let's go back over there to the desk with Adara and Money Talks.
Here's the US dollar. This thing is pretty flat. It's the exact same range that we traded in yesterday. Nothing too crazy. You've got a base of around 98.6, high here around 98.9. I want to get more into the US dollar, but I also want to mention, just because it's kind of interesting, it's a bit less about overall money talking and about a certain man's money talking. Ken Griffin of Citadel, according to CNBC, said in a letter, I guess to shareholders or to people who are with the firm, that Citadel has unwound more than 80% of the aggregate risk from that situational awareness portfolio. So more than 80% of the aggregate risk apparently has already been unwound. Again, this is according to Ken Griffin of Citadel, as reported by CNBC in a letter to clients. Let's go back to the US dollar and talk about S&P PMI data. So composite and services data well above estimates. 56 was the composite PMI print versus 53.9 expected. S&P Global Services PMI, 56.8 versus 54 expected. S&P Manufacturing, though, was actually a bit lower than expected, so 53.2 versus 53.9 expected. 59.6% of participants expecting a rate hold, 40% now expecting a hike. So we're going from around 65-35 all the way to 60-40. That's going to be a bit of an interesting look. Now, I guess 1 week ago, 33% chance of a hike, 66% chance of a hold. So if anything, the hike odds appear to be rising a little bit. If you look forward at probabilities, we're seeing now one hike next year. So previously we were seeing one hike at the end of this year, maybe no hikes next year. That's changed. We're now still seeing that one hike potentially in December, and then another hike in June, so mid-year 2027. Let's wait and see if that actually comes to pass. Back to you.
Thank you, Adara. We did miss something. Well, I don't know if we got this gift from Paulo, so shout out to Paulo.
What's up, Paulo?
We appreciate you, all of our viewers, but also we got something from X2C, pure X2C. Figma, now inverted head and shoulders breakout. Service now, let's go that one first. Why not?
Service now in the building.
Yeah, I mean, which time frame? I mean, you could be talking about this breakout right here, 131. Certainly.
What you talking about?
The 15-minute. I mean, it looks like a breakout on every single chart. So I don't think it matters what time frame we're talking about. In Figma, they both look like the same thing as well. I actually like SMCI for short right here.
Intel bleeding.
Right now. This is going to get down to the lows. Look at the rejection every single time. I should have been short this earlier in today. And another one from Adam James Abroad.
Another one.
Green on Friday. The market's not.
Bye-bye, JUNS.
I'm stopping right we're stopping right now. Also, did y'all see Sharif's hotel room? Sheesh. A-Rap money. See y'all Monday, beautiful people.
Yeah, we pay Sharif way too much. What? No, I did not see his room over there. Hey, this is what happens when you have no kids,
for that song?
No wife, nothing. So shout out to Sharif, man, living his best life. I got to live my life through Sharif because, you know, if I didn't have kids, I'd buy that hotel. But right now we are looking at a downside play right now on, okay, so new position. This one is just against 135. It looks like it's going to break it. 135, remember, that's the IPO price there for SpaceX. So although it's been going hard, we just got a good out at 60s. Oh, I put a bid on the wrong stock. I did not mean to get out there on SpaceX. We meant to get out on a low. Yeah, that's crazy. So actually, we took off a little bit of risk there on SpaceX by accident, but there it goes through 135. It was NVIDIA was the move lower there that we were trying to watch out for. But it has been moving lower there on Intel. So hopefully that can make a move down in. Bidding some 90s coming off there on INTC. We haven't been able to really break too much lower than that, man. Our low of the day on Intel is this 89.80 spot where we did wind up getting stopped out. So we did take a shot, which I'm completely fine with there on SpaceX. You know, I wanted to try it against the 135. It had sort of gone up $2 in a straight line there, so wanted to try it. Basically a cup of coffee. So we lose basically on SpaceX what we wind up losing there on JUNS, because there's the break. But that was a decent spot there. So unfortunately, the good thing about JUNS and some of these small cap names is that I'm not even losing that much, but I think the upside is huge. You know, because if this does continue to go, then maybe you get an 11, maybe you get a 12, maybe you get a 13, and so on and so forth. So I think it's well worth the risk to lose $1 after making $1.25 back on. So I have no sort of qualms with how we did trade that. We said we go over.
Whoa, something just happened.
Oh, go ahead. What do you have? SMCI. We can do that first. We'll talk about what's for lunch after.
There's a buyer that just came in. I just took the short on this trend hold on SMCI, but like the second it gets down to like the first sort of support area, which is the prior day close, it just shot up a little bit. But this is going to be a really tight stop because there's your trend line-ish. I could draw it a little bit better. Once you're above like the 86, which is where I have the stop, I think it's a bit of a reversal play. DRAM's off of those lows. Oh, we have another super chat. I'm just going to throw it up there for you guys as well. With only 2 minutes to go, I think we're also going to Adara.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Thanks for what you guys do. TM looks interesting. Tempest looks interesting. I haven't looked at Tempest, but there you go. Like the second we're starting to work, I might be reversing, but I'm only reversing on a trend break if it holds above that trend line. That's the rule. Don't automatically reverse. You've got to be patient with it because it could just be a wick top. While we know somebody that likes this stock, and we know that they've been a very successful investor, them or their husband, and everybody knows, it is on an absolute turn and break, Tempest. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Above the 200 period, it's been on an absolute turn, it's been on a run the last week. And that is a clean break. Forget about the lows. It's all about the breakaway of the major moving averages. I don't know where the next stop is going to be. You probably have to ask Nancy Pelosi, but 75 to 78 Tempest, is the next resistance
good talk
on
there.
Tempest.
All right, man. Intel just is getting lows. How's a good move there? We got the low of the day, basically again 90s right there as it does wick down below. Okay, before we're gonna okay? We can go to a dinner. We'll come back.
Yeah, it's quick, but I do think it's worth mentioning here, guys. We know that this Kimi has been in focus specifically as competition for the U.S., but also, of course, within China. Now, Alibaba actually backed Moonshot as well. Now, Moonshot reportedly testing a new Kimi model called Corinne. Not much of a move here for Alibaba, but again, just be aware, Moonshot testing a new Kimi. Back to you.
Yeah, Bobble's getting bled, man.
Yeah, we like it. Let's go figure out what's for lunch. Will it be chicken? Potentially.
Well, you have it up in front of you.
Yeah, I have it up in front of me, but we're going to look at it right now. It's in a U.S. flag. So we were hoping that it was going to be sandwiches. U.S. flag sandwiches make sense.
That sounds
Maybe
like
we're
it
getting
could be
burgers.
fried chicken.
Maybe we're getting fried chicken. I mean, is tilapia popular in the United States?
No.
I mean, nobody knows. Is it popular here? Who knows? But all right. Oh, actually, it has a theme here. Classic deli. Is this a classic deli thing? It's a chicken wrap. We'll take it. Classic chicken wrap today with roast. There must be a sale on roasted vegetables.
Well, because that's all we
That
agree.
is always, whether or not you have butter chicken, it coming with a side of roasted vegetables.
Always get roasted.
Whether or not you have, let's see what else there was this week. Oh, Italian meatballs, roasted vegetables was the side. The side on Tuesday was Powerball. There was no side. Monday, it was Korean pork belly with, of course, roasted veg. So today we get, and look, I mean, this sounds like a great lunch. I mean, we love to have lunch-themed lunches. Classic chicken wrap with roasted veg. Oh no, Neil. The extra side is cookies. So Neil gonna have a problem there.
That's a problem for me. Everybody knows it's a problem for me.
The salad, which has been pretty good. They do do a good one around here, coleslaw.
I'm gonna do my best to only eat 2 cookies.
Okay, well, let's check back on the midday to see how many he's eaten.
But you know how it is, right? Like it's the same thing as like what they call, like the kids call it the body count. Like whatever you say it is, it's like 3, 5x. So I'm probably gonna eat like 5 cookies or 10. But that's all right. You know, I'll make sure to. I'll burn those calories at the fantasy draft tomorrow, having beers, right? See, doing this with the beer is going to burn the calories
with
Because all of the you drink
would you
so
be
much
adding
beer,
calories?
but you got to think of the logic of it, right? I'll be doing enough of this that it's not gonna.
Oh,
work.
like this way.
No, it's not gonna
okay.
work.
Yeah,
it's
no,
not gonna work.
That logic.
It's gonna be a rough weekend.
That
But,
logic is very much
whatever.
flawed.
It'll be delicious.
There, but
You'll
yeah,
see us
so
back
we're
at
gonna-
2:00. I'll have eaten a few cookies from then. But you're in for a treat because Obi-Wan Kenobi is in the house, and he is with Joey Options. They'll take you on through the midday.